ESPN Speed World is live tonight at Nashville Superspeedway in Tennessee for Indy Racing Today, a preview of the 10th Indy Racing League event of the year, the Firestone Indy 200, and we have a packed grandstand tonight. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins. We invite you now to settle back next 2.5 hours for an evening of auto racing here on ESPN2. You won't have to change the dial, because this program will lead you right up to driver start your engines, and then we'll have a 200-lap race on this 1.3-mile track. Our regular cast of characters are with us tonight. They'll be with us in a few moments. However, first, a bit of IRL news. It was announced that domestic battery charges against Al Unser Jr., stemming from an incident earlier this month in Indianapolis, have been dropped for the two-time Indy 500 winner, announced at a news conference on Thursday that he would immediately enter a substance abuse program for problems in that area. That after consulting with his team Kelly and sponsor Corteco.
I told them I wanted to seek treatment for my problem, and Corteco has made arrangements for me to enter a nationally recognized substance abuse center that will help me straighten out my problem. My treatment program also will allow me to maintain my physical conditioning so I can remain in racing shape. I hope to return sometime in August, but that will depend on how my treatment goes.
Tony George, the president and CEO of the Indy Racing League, released a statement saying that the league is satisfied with the steps that Al Unser Jr. is taking, and the league does not contemplate any further action. Jack Arute?
Well, Bob, we're with Tom Kelly, who is the leader of Al Unser's Corteco Bryant team. Tom, when do you expect Al Jr. back in the cockpit of the car?
Well, first of all, Jack, I've got to say how proud I am of the decision that Al made and how he handled the situation. It took a heck of a man to do that. But I hope to see Al back sometime in August, but whenever Al comes back, the seat in the car is his.
Now, in the interim, you've chosen Tony Renna. No surprise there because he is your test driver.
Right. You have to pay another driver that way, Jack. No, but Tony's a great team member and has been helping us with testing the IRL cars and helping Jason Priestley, and it was a natural fit, and it's a great opportunity for Tony.
Well, Tom, thanks and good luck.
Thanks, Jack.
For more IRL news, let's check in with my colleague, Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, Jack, we do have some very welcome news. Eliseo Salazar was involved in a nasty test crash in Indianapolis in April. Doctors said initially it'd be 9 months before he'd back in a car. And here he is tonight, and A.J. Foyt now has 3 men in this. Are you concerned that you're going to be rusty after being out of the cockpit for some 3 months, Eliseo?
Yeah, to be honest, yes, Gary, because I do a lot of training, you know. I train on a bike. I go to the gym every day, but it's not the same of having 5 Gs in the middle of the corner here in Nashville. So we did well just today in qualifying, where I'm ahead of my teammates, but it's going to be difficult to do 200 laps here.
Well, it's amazing that this man is back in a car this quickly, and we certainly welcome him to A.J. Foyt's team once again. More IRL news. Focus back that Ari Luyendyk says he will be running next week in the 400-miler at Michigan. It's been 4 years since Ari has raced in IRL competition other than the Indy 500, so we look forward to that. That puts a cap on some of the breaking IRL news. Jack?
Well, Gary, let's talk about the driver that won the most recent race. Ayrton Dare used his win at Kansas Motor Speedway to thrust himself into 5th in points behind Helio Castroneves and Gilles de Ferran. And all of a sudden, you're not that far back, Ayrton.
Oh, yeah, winning is a great thing. You know, it just, after all the things, the good things, and you're still getting 5th on the championship is great. Now we're still looking for the championship.
Now, we're going to be following you throughout the course of Indy Racing today, this evening, as you prepare. But I want to talk about the expansion of the team with the return of Eliseo Salazar. What about your crew? Do they split duties, or do you keep them all?
Well, AJ is running from one car to the other, you know, but, I mean, it's been great. Salazar back is a good friend of mine and then a great guy, great driver. So having 3 cars, we got a lot of information. So we might be surprising a lot of people in the race.
We'll check in with you later. Gary, now there's a sight to behold. AJ running back and forth between cars.
Race number 10 of a 15-race season. We checked the point standings. The Penske drivers are still 1 and 2, but look how tightly. 8 points separating Castroneves and Farron. Sam Hornish is lurking just behind them in the shadows, and Sam joins us. I know you were frustrated at the end of the race, the last race at Kansas City, a couple of restarts. Take me back through those restarts, and we'll start with the first one.
You know, the first restart, there was, you know, a couple lap cars that were in between and didn't really, they wanted to get out of the way. They didn't want to, you know, be a factor in the fight for the lead or the win. So they just kind of slowed down, and it was kind of a big mess. And on the second one, I didn't really know that we were going to go to green, and I felt that Ayrton had a jump on me before I started actually going. So it's it's a tough thing to have happen. You don't ever like to have a restart within the last 3 laps of the race because it's not really representative of what the cars are capable of. But we're pretty happy, the Pennzoil Panther team. We continue to gain points. The good thing of a win would have been if we would have been within 10 points of the lead and within 2 points a second. We got a 3rd place start tonight, and we had a really fast practice, so we're pretty happy about that, and we're looking for some good things tonight.
These cars are fast, Bob Jacobs, and this guy's going to be in the mix. You know it.
That's for sure, Gary. We're counting down to drivers start your engines for tonight's Firestone Indy 200 here at Nashville Speedway. That command is just a little less than 24 minutes away. Tonight's race will continue the season-long battle between Marlboro Team Penske and the Pennzoil Panther team. The stats entering this event show that Hornish has as many wins as the 2 Penske drivers, but Jack 3 consecutive finishes outside the top 15. Have Elio Castroneves and Gilles de Ferran ahead in the other category.
And qualifying did not bode well for you, Gilles de Ferran, 13th tonight. What happened?
Wow, I just haven't been able to find the last few hundreds, but we're happy with the car, so it should be a good race for us.
Now, you qualify on the outside of the front row, and then you have to make an engine change. What happened to you?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a little problem this morning, so, hey, I did this in Indianapolis, worked really well, so that's what's going to happen here.
Now, these 2 drivers were treated to a very special tour of Nashville earlier today with 2 very unique women that run what's called the Nash Trash Bus.
Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, US of A. Hey, there's Willie Nelson. Hey, fantastic. Hi, Willie. We love you.
Indy Racing Today is being brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Here's tonight's starting lineup. Billy Vogt has his 9th career pole. Elio Castroneves alongside in row 1. Row 2, Sam Hornish Jr., a 3-time winner this year, and Thomas Schechter. The 3rd row, Alex Barron, his best IRL qualifying effort ever, and Richie Hearn. The 4th row, Sarah Fisher, her best start since qualifying 2nd at Richmond last year, and Felipe Giafoni. The 5th row, Eddie Cheever Jr. and Robbie Buell, both looking to end their run of sour luck. The 6th row, Scott Sharp and Buddy Lazier, the defending champion of this event. In row number 7, Gilles de Ferran and Tony Renna substituting for Al Unser Jr. In row number 8, Raul Boisel and Mark Dismore making his 4th start with Team Menard. In row 9, Eliseo Salazar, his first start, injury in April, and Jeff Ward. The 10th row, Ayrton Daré, the winner 2 weeks ago at Kansas, and Greg Ray. And back in row number 11, George Mack and Laurent Redon, who didn't take a qualifying run.
A change in that starting grid during the most recent and final warm-up. Jeff Ward crashed his car. They've gone to a backup car. He will start in the back row next to last. Now, when the 2002 season started, Red Bull Infinity Racing and Eddie Cheever, their owner-driver, thought that they were going to have a great year as they added Thomas Schechter. But so far, it's been a season of frustration.
Going to be a long talk in the trailer between Cheever and his new protege. We've got another yellow. Eddie Cheever, 2nd race of the season, 2nd race that Cheever is involved with contact with the wall. Boy, that's heavy damage. That's going to be expensive. Oh! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
There goes Cheever's in. That was what we're worried about.
Jacques Lazier, who contact with Thomas Schechter. Yellow comes out. It's the leader again. Thomas Schechter into the wall. Oh! Hornish in trouble. He got tapped.
The right in front of Eddie Cheever's car, collecting Hornish's car.
Oh! And this time it's Eddie Cheever. Cheever physically is okay. Temperamentally, I'm not sure where he's at.
Oh!
Sure.
So close to the win again.
What effect has all this carnage and this damage done to the Red Bull Infinity team? Well, we asked the crew who toil 24/7 what they need to do to turn things around.
We're always playing catch-up. That's the problem. I mean, we've worked these poor guys to death now. We've had 10 crashes to rebuild.
I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said this was the happiest camp in the IRL paddock area, right? Because, you know, we haven't put that final
we haven't gotten that win.
It is difficult, the days off, but, you know, once again, you know what you get into, and it's part of our job.
You really try and find other ways to get motivated, and if you just carry on and you know exactly what you have to do, it wears on you.
Well, it adds a lot of extra pressure to the mechanics and all the guys at the shop to get cars rebuilt and back on the trucks in time.
You know, it's hot out here, and we work hours and we travel a lot, but when you have a kid like this that's fast everywhere he goes, it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's tough, but the champions are the guys who recover from the dismal year that we've had so far, and we will recover from it.
We are with Eddie Cheever, the owner. Tell me for a moment, Eddie, about the emotional toll that this season has taken.
I always figured that anybody that manages to race for a living is a very lucky person, and we have had a very difficult year, but we have a lot of races left, and I always believe that this is going to be the one. So we have had a difficult season. We made some decisions with drivers at the beginning of the year, which at times proved wrong, but he's been very quick, and I think the Red Bull team has got a lot left in it. So you might be disappointed, but I'm sure today is going to be the weekend.
Gary, what about the other driver that's a member of the Red Bull team? He's with you.
Well, let's check in with the youngster. You've led over 300 laps this year, but all of these different problems, is it starting to mess with your head?
No, it's not. I'm going to keep on going till I win a race, and when I win a race, I'm going to win more, and that's the attitude I have.
Well, we wish you well tonight. Be safe.
Thank you.
Well, let's check in with those Penske guys. The big pink bus, it's still riding somewhere in Nashville.
You're about to experience the world of Nash Trash Tour. What we're going to do is take you on a wacky musical comedy tour of Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, we're going to dig up the dirt on your favorite country star. We're going to get started in it. We just are waiting on our driver.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. We're here. Here we go. Thank you. So, we're getting ready here, huh? Hey, buckle up, man. This is going to be a hell of a ride.
We are in the 10-minute window before this race starts. Stay with us as we bring you 2-mile-per-hour action with the Firestone Indy 200 here at Nashville Superspeedway at the bottom of the hour, right here on ESPN2. For more information, all you have to do is log on to ESPN.com and type in the keyword IRL. And now, to present our national anthem, a member of the Grand Ole Opry who entertained fans here earlier with a pre-race concert from Expo Row. Hits include We Dance, He Didn't Have to Be, and his third Billboard #1, I'm Gonna Miss Her. He's the honorary starter tonight, and then he will turn his attention to the Grand Ole Opry. He is the honorary starter, Brad Paisley, but let's check in quickly with Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, Billy Boat is the man who's going to pace this field tonight, and he's looking forward to it, his first pole this year. Earlier, he had an opportunity because Mike Kerr, one of the owners, along with this racing team, has, of course, his record studio, and David Kirsch is one of the artists. And lo and behold, here's Billy in the studio this week, and actually he and Brad got behind the microphones and limbered up the old vocal cords. Let's listen in for just a moment.
I just can't seem to take it slow. Oh, 'cause I get better, I know, the faster I go.
Nicely done, Billy Boat, having a great in the studio, but a little frustration at the racetrack. Missed the final session today. Fuel pressure problems that have been corrected, but how much does that hurt you?
Well, we ran full tanks yesterday. I don't think it's going to hurt us too much. We pretty much know where the car is. The racetrack seemed to be a little bit slipperier in the full tank session, so Kerbucker's car's been good. My guys have been working hard. We'll be okay.
Well, we're looking forward to that. Have a great, safe run from that #1 spot.
Thank you.
Jack?
A nice crowd is assembled here at the Nash Superspeedway. In fact, they say that all the tickets have been sold. And now, to present our national anthem, Brad Paisley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs are stinging, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's time to go on board with the IRL and Kelly Racing's lead engineer, Jeff Britton. Jeff, this place presents a whole host of mechanical problems. Tell us about them.
Well, the Country Creek track naturally has less grip, and it wears tires more, which is really hard to deal with. There is a plus side. It tends not to be so temperature sensitive. The track stays a lot more consistent than asphalt does, but it just chews up tires.
Well, Scott Goodyear, those are the mechanical issues. What about the driver issues?
And Jack, some of the issues for the drivers tonight, it's a one-groove racetrack right now. You can see the black right here, lower lane. What drivers will be doing this evening is trying to move that up to a second lane to try to get a passing zone. The other issue about this racetrack is the cement creates a lot of roughness for the drivers. A very tough 2 hours inside the cockpit. These guys will be working very hard because this track is very bumpy, much like driving on a cement interstate. Another issue for the drivers because of this white cement racetrack, it meets a white cement wall, as you can see over there on the far side. What the track did, paint a blue line along the ridge of the bottom of the wall so these guys can help differentiate the track to the wall as they enter at over 200 miles per hour.
To the winner of this race tonight, this unique trophy, the Gibson Guitar Company located in Nashville has this special hand-painted edition. Ayrton Dare won the last race a couple of weeks back in Kansas City. Like to add that to your collection?
Sure. Make sure she puts on my truck over there. I know it's the third one from the entry over there.
Brazilian driver. Do you have a favorite country western artist?
I listen a little bit of Garth Brooks, and then we're from Brazil. You know, you're not into music a lot, but
Garth Brooks is not a bad answer, Jack.
All right, Gary, as we continue to check in on Ayrton Dare, taking a look at the drivers, there are not a whole lot of time left before the cars roars to life. In fact, we are getting close to the 6-minute window. Let's take a look in again at Helio Castroneves and Jill DeFerrin's morning Nashville tour with the Nash Trash Bunch.
Get those guys in. Could you guys sit out here and explain what this is right here? Tell us what they're going to say.
Ok, folks. Esse aqui é o Raimundo. É o logo em frente para todos poderem estacionar e se divertirem.
Okay, what they just said was this is the Ryman Auditorium. I didn't know you speak Portuguese. I do. I'm bilingual. Excellent.
You mean no?
Well, we sure had some fun today, didn't we? We saw country stars, dug up some dirt on them. We sure did. Fantastic. And for you folks at home, don't you go nowhere, because the Indy Racing League is just about to start racing.
Yes, we are, but last Saturday, round 3 of this year's IROC Series at Chicagoland, Buddy Lazier on the pole. We're on board with Kevin Harvick, the only stock car driver to run up front, trading paint with Helio Castroneves. Lazier led all the way. The final standings show Indy Racing League competitors swept 5 of the top 6 positions, setting up an exciting final round, which will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Jack, during Brickyard 400 weekend.
And so, Bob, the crew of the team here in the IRL competition decided to celebrate that victory by carrying a decal and telling Buddy Lazier to think pink. He said, no, I won in a rose-colored car. Buddy, it couldn't have come at a better time for you, that IROC victory. The speeds have increased here. How tough is it going to be for you tonight to defend your title?
Well, it's a long night. We're going to have to be real patient. I think the cars that are working good on this track are going to go to the front. You really need to have a car under you. We know we can do it. We did it last year. We're going to do what we can.
Buddy Lazier, Gary Gerald goes to the post, determined.
And our final opportunity to check in, Arton Dare's father leans in to provide a handshake to the young driver who's coming off that victory at Kansas City. 3 A.J. Foyt drivers, but well back in the field with a lot of work to do. They come in with some momentum, top 10 finish in the last 4. And, of course, that victory at Kansas City. Remember how they struggled in the first 5 races of the year? Well, hopefully all of that is now behind them. Farthest back any winner has started this year, Castro Neves from 13th at Indianapolis. A quick word here, Arton. What's the key tonight in your mind to win this race?
Just stay out of trouble, you know, I think, and try not to get lapped. You know, starting far back like we are, you know, we just try to stay on the lead lap, and then second part of the race, try to go for the lead.
Well, we look forward to that as the Harris colors of number 14 will be trying to do just that from very deep in the field. It makes for a very interesting night under the lights here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Never fails to amaze me how drivers are willing to talk to us even as they're concentrating on the job at hand. I doubt that if you would stick a micro in the face of any NBA player or NFL player when they're on the field in battle, if they would say anything to us. But Arton Dare was very willing to give us a few words as he and the other 21 competitors are now in their race cars and getting set for the command to start engines. We have a 200-lap race coming up for you as the field is assembled down on pit road, and we are just a few seconds now away from that command.
They're inches away at 214 miles an hour. Oh, Castro Neves wins the Indianapolis 500. Look at that.
Firestone Indy 200 drivers, start your engine.
With that command, 22 cars file to life and in front of a packed grandstand. The drivers get ready to race in the Firestone Indy 200 from Nashville Superspeedway just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to IRL Racing. And in the next 2 hours, see speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour around a 1.3-mile racetrack that is shaped in a tri-oval, the banking at 14 degrees, and it is concrete. Now, there were predictions of some pop-up thunder showers visiting the area. However, right now, we are in good shape weather-wise. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's event. Billy Boat is on the pole with a speed of 203.7 alongside the points leader Castro Neves. Roach defending IRL champion Sam Hornish Jr. and Thomas Schechter. In row number 3, Alex Barron, his best career start in the IRL, along with Richie Hearn. In row number 4, Sarah Fisher, her best start in over a year, and Felipe Giafoni. In row number 5, Eddie Cheever Jr. and Robbie Buell, both driving Infinity-powered cars. Row number 6, Scott Sharp and Buddy Lazier, the defending champion of this event. Back in the 7th row, Gilles de Ferrin, second in points, and Tony Renna, substitute for Al Unser Jr. In the 8th row, Raul Boisel, his 4th start of the year, and Mark Dismore. The 9th row features Eliseo Salazar, who is back after injury suffered in April, and the Texas winner Jeff Ward. The 10th row, Arton Dare, and his A.J. Foyt teammate Greg Ray. And in the last row, 2 rookies, George Mack and Laurent Redon. Now, in the final practice session, this is what happened to Jeff Ward. His car pushed out of turn number 4 and into the outer wall. The car is too badly damaged. He will start next to last. Now, as we get close to the green flag, here are the 2 who will call the action tonight, Paul Page and Scott Goodyear.
Thanks, Bob. And 20 of those cars that you just identified qualified faster than last year's pole pace. Now, the track here, as we've suggested, is concrete. It drives faster because of that. That's one of the reasons they tried to use it. But, Scott, it's very abrasive.
Oh, it is very abrasive. And what happens, it can wear out that right front tire. The drivers have to be so critical to be smooth as the steering wheel, not to wear out that right front tire too soon. They have to last through a full fuel stop. It's going to be very important. High heat, high humidity is another issue here. No room for error here. No mental mistakes or you won't get to the end.
High heat, high humidity. Take a look at the weather. The weather here is still very hot. Track temperature at 105, air temperature at 88. And let me tell you, things in the pits are going to have to do everything to stay cool. There's the race analysis, 200 laps. The track is 1.3 miles around. And in the IRL, when they allocate points, this is how they do it, 50 for first on down. Everybody makes a point. And when we look at how the championship is, it is so very close, it looks like it's going to the end of the season. Jackaroot?
Well, let me give you a long shot, a favorite to watch. Sarah Fisher, who did not do well in her first couple of races, now be finished races. Very comfortable with Robbie Buell's teammate. And she likes these short racetracks, Gary Gerald.
And from the back of the pack, Jack, too, to keep an eye on. You've seen the grid, but Laurent Redon, no qualifying time. He was a third-place finisher on the Superspeedway at Fontana. He had gearbox problems today, fuel pressure problems yesterday. He starts in that last row alongside Jeff Ward. You saw his problems with the crash earlier. Two guys that will be trying to work their way forward on this very busy, very fast racetrack.
Billy Bolt's the pole sitter. He's lined up right behind the Chevrolet Corvette pace car. We've got some onboard cameras for you. Looking back through the field, there's the rear view from Sam Hornich's car. And Tony Renna replacing Al Unser Jr. There's Scott Sharp. All the way through this field, plenty of action expected. Everybody says, once again, be patient. The pole sitter right there, the number 98 Curb Agajanian car, that's Billy Bolt, his first pole in 3 years. But he finished second here last year, Scott, so there's a very good chance that he will do well tonight. Helio Castroneves is alongside as the field forms. The Corvette pace car pulls down. Field now under the control of Billy Boat, the pole sitter. And we're green and racing at Nashville. Side by side, they go down through the burner. Castroneves stays high on both. Deals safely through there. Now onto the back stretch. Boat takes over. Hornish is going to try to move into third place.
Oh, Billy Boat is looking very strong. Remember, did not get out in that final warm-up, had some problems with the car, so he's not been on the racetrack today. All his other competitors certainly have got a lot of time in, but he's out of the box, going fast right away. The town program going on here with curb records. He wants to lead a lot of race laps here tonight.
And Billy Boat is leading for the first time since July 1999 at Atlanta. This is third place, Hornish.
Sam Hornish always likes to lead races, but you heard a couple of key phrases here. Patience, and you must survive. They got to work the lines in here on the racetrack, get some more rubber down on the cement surface, and work that high. That's what these guys are going to be working to do. Very early in the race right now, so Sam Hornish is playing a very smart game.
You're looking at first through third. In the meantime, Buddy Lazier has moved up 4 positions from 12th to 8th. He did that in just 2 laps. Now Schechter in 4th place tries to come forward. Talk about fast. They're racing tanks at 196.9 miles an hour, Jackaroot.
Well, Paul, thus far there's been a little bit of a problem with your leader, of course, Billy Boat. Boat is reporting that the car has a slight push, but when you carry 35 full gallons of methanol, that dramatically alters the handling of these cars, Scott.
And Jack, what's happening right now, he didn't get that warm-up that we talked about before. That fuel adds a lot of weight to the car. It's heavier. Trying to get through the turns is a very difficult situation. But right now, what he's going to do is work on his cockpit adjuster on the roll bars and also on the weight jacker and have the opportunity to change the car from within. If he can't make it work then, the guys will change it for him on the pit stop, maybe by tire pressures or wing adjustments.
Hornish lined up with Castroneves there for a moment, then moved a little high on Castroneves as he closes, looking for second place. If Billy Boat has a problem, it's not obvious. Here comes, tries the high side, that one doesn't work. He's going to try it again, though. A of Catherine Evans, and Hornish moves to second place.
Still there, clear.
Paul, the first guy to try that high line that we talked about before. The fastest line around here is on the bottom.
Well, it may not be for Hornish as we take a look at those great moves thus far. Lazier, we already mentioned. Another guy getting ready to move up is Thomas Schechter as he starts to worry Catherine Evans. Catherine Evans is one of those that is off the pace. He dropped a position now with the pass of Hornish. Back at the front.
Hornish taking a draft.
Whoa, look how close. I'm not sure they didn't touch. I didn't see a puff of smoke.
Well, give credit to Sam Hornish. He didn't do anything strange here. Didn't get off the gas.
I don't think he wants me to pass.
He kind of wanted to make it real wide there, didn't he? Why don't you just run up there again and make him think you're going high and go underneath?
That's his spotter, Poncho Carter, mentioning to him, yeah, he didn't want you to pass for sure.
So Sam Hornish and Billy Boat putting on a show in front of a sellout crowd here at Nashville.
As we ride along, Paul, listen to Sam Hornish's throttle, getting off the gas just a little bit in the turns, getting that dirty air from Billy Boat's car in front of him.
One of about the 400 things I like about night racing is the fact on the onboard camera, once again, Boat makes it a little wide. And that takes the momentum away from Hornish.
A little better and you'll get it done. Still no pressure from behind.
One of those things is that you can see the display on the steering wheel display so very easily at night.
Drivers see that. They have an adjustment on the dash to be able to turn that down as the night goes on and the lights get brighter so it does not detract from their vision over the cockpit.
So the sun very slowly setting on the Nashville Superspeedway. The battle is at the front, and the leaders are slowly pulling away from third place, Elio Catherine Evans. Is it time?
Outside. Running back to green. Clear.
This time, Hornish gets it done. And you heard the instructions. Poncho said, just run him up there. So now Billy Boat has to defend second place from Elio Catherine Evans. There's your leader, Sam Hornish. Lead has changed once now in the first 13 laps of competition.
ESPN's presentation of the Firestone Indy 200 is being brought to you by Firestone, America's tire since 1900. Delphi, driving tomorrow's technology. And Chevrolet, wherever there's a winner's circle, we'll be there.
The famous Ryman Auditorium, the original home of the Grand Ole Opry in downtown Nashville. We're out at Nashville Superspeedway. Sellout crowd for the Indy Racing League. And the battle is Sam Hornish Jr. now beginning to pull away from Billy Boat and overtaking the back of the field. That's Jeff Ward. Now, Jeff crashed the car that he qualified, had to move it all the way to the back of the field, but it's not been working very well for him, and already traffic's moving around. This is Sarah Fisher.
10-4 on that.
We don't have an indication. Obviously, with 19 laps into the books, it would be very early for her to come down. Decker, do you have any idea what's going on with Boat? Maybe you can find out about Sarah.
Well, as Sarah Fisher makes her way to pit road, Billy Boat continues to have handling woes. They've adjusted the bars on the car, and that has not solved the problem. They're just going to try and tough it out for the first pit stop that should come around lap 5-0.
There's Boat. Hornish, by the way, is setting a torrid pace. Very fast, 201.229 miles an hour. Pole last year was 199 miles an hour in qualifying. Back here, the battle for second as Boat and Catherine Evans begin to close on Jeff Ward.
The crew goes to work on Sarah Fisher's car. It seems as if the battery has gone awry. So now they're going to have to pull the bonnet, guys, and replace the battery. It takes a little time.
Another disappointment for Sarah Fisher, but the good news is she's in a great car, and she's going to do something with that car. Firestone telemetry on board the leader, Sam Hornish Jr.
Listen to him just crack the throttle a little bit. He's getting through traffic very well right now, not getting hung up behind any of these guys that are in front of him, being able to pick and choose his lines. You see the throttle there, almost full throttle. He's going to try the high line already, all the way around, doing a great job. Off the throttle just slightly, gets moved up from Ray, back on the gas.
Caution comes on. Caution comes on.
Got a yellow out, yellow out. Look.
And so for the first time, the pace slows. Oh, we got a fire here. This is Buell. Buell has a fire at the back of the car.
Robbie, stop at a fire truck. Stop at a fire. Robbie, you got a good...
Now, that's the information from the spotter. They can see the fire right now, but the driver has no idea that the car is on fire. You know something is wrong. You've turned the ignition off. You've turned the car off, and now he gets an opportunity to see what the problem is and the smoke coming out of there. And I can tell you, he'll be in a hurry to get out of that race car.
That's a pretty oily fire by all that black smoke there. But Robbie Buell's out of the car. He's safe. And the crew trying to figure out what's going on down there. They averaged 197 miles an hour for the first 20 laps.
Pits have just been opened. Sam Hornish has come in for a quick stop, a tire change, a splash of fuel. He's engaged and going out, but the field seemingly has split. Only a few of the front runners coming in on this yellow opportunity.
Cars make their way back out of the racing service. We'd like to remind you that RPM Tonight, the nightly source for motorsports news on television, will be at Michigan this coming week, Monday through Friday, July 22nd through 26th. That's where our next Indy Racing League event will be held. John Kernan will be there this coming week at 6:30 Eastern Time for RPM Tonight. Check local listings for Sunday times. More information, log on to ESPN.com. Well, the first break for the drivers, Scott. Let's see what they're thinking.
Buddy Lazier, Scott Goodyear with ABC in the booth. How's the track working out there for you this evening?
It's a little bit different than when we practiced. A little bit different than our, it's cooled off a lot in the track. For me, I picked up some push, especially aero push following the car behind me, but the track's really coming in. It's real fast tonight.
Good to hear. Good luck, and hope you're there at the end.
Thank you, Scott.
Jack Arute is with Sarah Fisher, who has encountered early problems here tonight.
Well, Sarah, you thought it was a battery, but now you're knocked out of competition. What is it, or don't you know?
Well, we don't know, Jack. It was missing, and it wouldn't get on pipe. And I'm not sure if it's electrical or if we dropped a valve or something like that. But we had a really good start, and I mean, for only a couple races together, the Smart Blade team's doing a really good job. So we just got to keep the consistency and get some good programs for next weekend.
Talk to me a little bit about the track and the conditions thus far.
Track's awesome. You know, it's a little bit rougher than the regular tracks that we run on, but track's nice. We've got the Infinity Pro Series rubber, which is real consistent for us to run on, and it's proven to be really good for us.
And Bob, that Infinity Pro Series rubber may be the difference. Remember last year there were some tire issues here due to the concrete, but no one is reporting them thus far.
But a bad evening early for the Dreyer and Reinbold team. Both of their competitors, Sarah Fisher and Robbie Buell, have had their problems here. Well, we heard from Buddy Lazier. Scott, let's talk to Scott Sharp.
Scott Sharp, Goodyear in the booth. Cement racetrack tonight, something different for you guys. How's the handling of your Delphi car?
Pretty well, Scott. Delphi guys give you a great stop. Car's staying pretty well. Tough thing is to pass here. As you know from experience, the weight you pick up on these cars happens from quite a far ways away, and it just really makes you lose the front end of the car. And so I think everyone's going to deal with that a bit tonight. You got to find ways to try to get some air and try to maybe loosen up your car as much as you can to try to get by somebody.
Well, long race, patience pays off. Good luck.
Sure, thanks.
That is Scott Sharp, and this is the third night race of the season for the Indy Racing League this year. And for the spectators, I think it adds an element of suspense, and the cars look faster as they're out there on the racetrack. But we asked some of the competitors about what they like about racing at night.
Have you ever played tennis at day? And when you play at night, doesn't seem like weird? That's the same with the same feeling when we're racing. It's kind of it's not as sharp, the line when you come into the turn.
You're going so fast that the shadows kind of fool you a little bit as to how close you are to other cars.
There's a real different visual from the natural light and obviously the floodlights for me. And I don't know, it just gives the driver a slightly different perspective.
It's nothing about vision, but actually mirror reflections in my visor that are created by the lights that then shines from your face back to your visor. It's kind of strange.
I can't see really well, you know, in the dark.
Bad part about night racing is the vision. The night vision is actually quite a bit different. Things come up quicker, and it's hard to pick up your guy, your crew chief, when you're coming in the pits.
Well, some drivers like night racing, and as you heard, some drivers don't particularly like racing at night. Some of the bad things about competing under the lights. Well, Sam Hornish Jr. came in as the leader. Let's go down for a check on his pit stop from Gary Gerald.
Bob, it was a very close thing for Sam Hornish because according to his crew chief down here, he totally missed his marks, and the wheel guns that they used to spin the hub off and change tires barely reached on each corner of the car. Sam said that it was because the air hose was laid out in the Giafone pit that is right next door. But they did succeed in making the change, and he got away with no problem. A very close call, but he did do a good job there. And his crew, very poised, very patient. Bob, they executed under pressure.
Well, the sun is beginning to set here at Nashville Superspeedway, and in a moment, the lights and racing at night will become a real factor. We just heard from drivers who say they have some problems with racing under the lights. Now let's hear from drivers about how they like racing at night.
It just seems like the racing's electrified. It's cooler for the fans. It's cooler for the drivers. And the lights are so good these days that there are no negatives anymore.
You race under the stars. The track is very consistent. The lights are very soft on the driver's eyes.
The pros is that you get to wake up a little bit later. I don't really work well in the morning, so I much prefer it at night.
The cars look faster at night. You get a little bit more effective speed at night.
It's a pretty special feeling to see cars going around as fast as ours at nighttime.
And we're on board with Tony Renna, who is now being shown as the leader of this race. He and Eliseo Salazar did not pit, so they're running first and second. Sam Hornish Jr. lost 2 positions because he was the leader when the yellow flag came out for Robbie Buell. And you can see that Billy Boat, Hearn, DeFerrin, Giafone, and Sharp all changed positions during those pit stops. Jack?
Robbie, any warning to that fire?
No, I didn't have any warning. Actually, my spotter said, you know, you're smoking, and I didn't feel anything. So I don't think anything broke in the car. It just was smoking, and then so I figured I was just going to coast in. And then guys were like, you're on fire, you're on fire. They're like, you need to get out. So that was just a function of getting out.
We're glad to see that you're okay. Paul, we're getting ready to go back to green.
Yeah, in DeLand, Florida, Tony Renna is going to restart this race, leading in his first start in the Indy Racing League. Salazar right behind him. And then Hornish, who of course has stopped. Catherine Evans, Checker, and those that were in front before the yellow came out. They're back at it again. That's Salazar just ahead. Renna and Salazar hold on for another lap.
Well, for a rookie in this series, Paul, Tony Renna did a very nice job. Got on the throttle smoothly, did not spin the tires.
Look back there behind Catherine Evans. Schechter tried to sneak up on him, and so did Billy Boat. That's the eventual battle for second place as they finally will have the first couple of cars, Salazar and Renna, come in for their stop.
And don't forget, Paul, the first 2 cars did not stop on the racetrack. Probably have half a fuel load right now. Running a little bit lighter on the way to the car.
Catherine Evans works Hornish.
The cars in front are quite a lot lighter, Sam. Don't fret if they get away.
Right now, it's
sometime before. Some communication coming from Hornish to the pits asking, did you start lowering pressure?
You should be fine when they come up.
What's happening there is that Sam does not like the handling of his car. And here he's off the gas, so he asked the question, did you change tire pressures? And the reply was, yes, we did.
Coming to look, looking inside, clear.
Oh, too high off of turn 4 for Schechter.
And that really lost the momentum. And continues to lose it. Look at everybody spring past.
Paul, he was so high there, he's lucky he did not collect the wall.
Go down to Jackaroo. Salazar still running in second, Jack.
But Paul, as you guys said, maybe one of the reasons why he's not wanting to come into the pits is the fact he has to share his pits. He has to share his pits with his teammate, and that, of course, is Greg Ray. A.J. Foyt has hired additional crew members, but Ayrton Dare has his own pit crew intact. But Greg Ray and Eliseo Salazar will have to share an over-the-wall crew during green flag laps.
So what you're saying is because A.J. Foyt has a 3-car team, they don't have enough people or don't care to have enough people to actually service 3 cars simultaneously, so they're switching back and forth. Dare gets his own crew, the other 2 have to share. 40 laps now complete. Salazar and Renna stay at the front after the 3rd round of the British Open. Ernie Els leads by 2 strokes. Tomorrow morning, watch it. Well, he tried, but he couldn't move on Salazar. Harnish apparently still having some sort of handling issue because of the tire pressure. Salazar is a lot lighter, should be a lot faster. Don't forget tomorrow morning, then join ABC Sports for live coverage of the final round beginning at 8. ABC Sports Championship Television. Here comes Ken
Inside.
Now there is proof of a problem.
Well, that problem might go away, Paul. As you run, tire pressure builds up, the heat builds up in the tire, and maybe 20 laps into his segment here, Sam Hornish might have a car that's fast enough to go to the front, but give him credit right now. He's not overdriving it, playing it cool. He knows on the next pit stop, the guys will correct the problem.
And look who's back there behind Boat now. Gil DeFerrin started 13th, is now up in 7th place. Giafone and Hearn battle just behind DeFerrin. Here we are back with the current 3rd place, Castroneves and Hornish Jr. Again, Renna and Salazar have not stopped and stay in front. Welcome back to the Firestone Indy 200, the Indy Racing League at Nashville. The 3rd and final night race of the IRL season. You ride with the leader, DeLand, Florida's Tony Renna, who is replacing Al Unser Jr. in the Corteco car. It's been a good race thus far. Renna is in front because 48 laps complete, he has not stopped. Sam Hornish Jr. is back about 7 seconds. He finally maneuvered around Eliseo Salazar and moved into 2nd place overall. Salazar is 3rd in his first race back since his injury back on April 16th. A torn vertebral arteries, which kept him out of action. The doctors thought it'd keep him out a lot longer. Here's Salazar back. Castroneves now around Salazar. And Billy Boat and Joe DeFerrin ready to do the same. Except DeFerrin wants to get a little piece of Boat first.
Clear.
Makes the clean pass, but Paul, we talk about Tony Renna just getting in this car, only has minimal experience in the Indy Racing League car. Had some running up at the Michigan track where they'll compete next week, but he checked out after the restart, got a nice lead, and he's run a speed of over 202 miles an hour so far. The fastest race lap so far in this race.
And keeping an eye back here at 7th place, Giafone and Hearn, they've been at it fairly constantly. Talking about the leader, Renna, again, he's replacing Al Unser Jr. Al Unser Jr. ran into some problems. He was arrested for domestic abuse. The charge has since been dropped, but little Al is freely admitted that he has a substance abuse problem and has checked himself into a center to get rid of that problem. The IRL says that's an outside problem and not something that they would deal with. The team, and Tom Kelly and their group, has given him all the support that they can offer, and we all wish little Al well and hope he's back soon. In the meantime, Tony Rennett's doing a pretty good job for him. Now they're beginning to report that Salazar will be into the A.J. Foyt pits in about 2 laps. So logically, Rennett's going to have to be in about the same time. And there is Salazar as he slows down.
And Paul, this is what they didn't hope for. They hoped to catch a yellow, to be able to pit underneath yellow. They'll certainly lose a lap here because all the other cars are on the track at green racing speed.
Yeah, but the gamble was worth it, Jack.
Well, indeed it was, and calling the shots for LSAL Salazar is Richie Simon, Dick Simon's son. Now watch when they complete their change of Firestone tires, they're going to adjust the front wing. There's through he goes, brings the wing up 1 full turn, but it's taking a long time. On the rear, they've got a problem with the rear tire. The gun goes bad. Oh, this is such a long, laborious stop for Salazar.
That was very costly for Salazar.
You can know that's going through his mind, Paul. He's been off rehab the last 3 months, and he goes through his mind. Drivers do mental tests before they come to the racetrack, and he's had a lot of time to sit at home, think about what his first race would be like, and when you have a bad stop like that right out of the box, that one hurts you.
Well, and it's bad enough on a 1.3-mile circuit. You can go a lap down into green racing just like that. Gary Gerald, what about Renna?
Well, we checked in with Jim Brudenberg, and we asked him how close to that first stop. This was several laps ago. He said about 20 laps. And I looked at him almost in a state of disbelief. And I'm still in that state of disbelief as we watch him on the track. And we wait along with the crew to see when, in fact, he does come in.
Oh, I'm hoping that math is right. Renna handles up Jeff Ward, who is running now 2 laps behind the lead of the race. And the caution comes out.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Oh, what a break for Renna.
Okay, Tony, get her slowed down here. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down.
Renna's team, well, there's the reason for the yellow. It still slows to a stop. That's Greg Ray. Cars of the Foyt stable are all very similar. Greg Ray, it doesn't matter anymore. We would have told you, has a blue nose, a purple nose on the car. And there's some of the remnants of the accident.
Not sure what happened here, but obviously got up high to the racetrack and hit the wall on the outside, taking off that right-hand side. But there was a yellow just possibly even before that, so we don't know why Greg Ray ended up on the top side. So we'll have to wait to see what happens here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the yellow was actually a call by race control for the 12 car. Said it got high. Here it is, and of course Ralph Boiselle. But he didn't get, well, in fact, we almost got a glimpse of that. I thought on an onboard camera, as he made a turn in, he looked really high. They went yellow for that. They thought he might have caught the wall, and it looks like he did. And then we had the Greg Ray thing actually happen after that.
Well, there's the reason possibly for the yellow. If he went up and hit the wall, you saw the marks there on the wall. We'll wait for him to come through the turn and just a little behind. Here we go. This is actually Greg Ray. Greg Ray gets a little bit high in the middle of the turn, which was way back here, ended up getting offline, and then caught the car loose, got up towards the wall. Now, we don't know if something happened with the car or something was on the track, but the car certainly veered up there quite quickly.
Greg Ray says, I'm okay, and I don't want to be bothered. That's Dr. Henrik Bach, who brings his vehicle right onto the course along with the emergency gears, so there's a doctor on the scene immediately, and then, if necessary, we'll call for an ambulance. But Greg Ray obviously walked right over and climbed in there, so he appears to be okay. But that gives a tremendous break to Renna.
Exactly what they're asking for, Paul, because now he gets the opportunity to come in underneath yellow.
Everybody's coming in, but you're first, so come down hard. We'll be
Look at this. Here's the Raul Boiselle. Look up there high.
Up high, that's where he's going. You can see him just going up there to kiss the wall. He was also out of that black groove and also in the gray. There's no grip in the gray ball. No rubber down there. You can't get any grip.
Whoa, but what a close one that is. It's hard to believe it didn't do any damage. So the pits are open, and the leader, Renna, is going to come in, and everybody else going to follow the rule. I'm going to follow the leader.
A lot of pressure on Renner right now. He's in the lead, his first IRL race, and his first pit stop. 8 seconds, he has to be in there and have a perfect stop so he can get out in the lead.
And guys, here he is coming in to hit his marks. On the radio, he was telling his crew, tell the spotter to speak more slowly to him. He has high-speed experience from the Indy Lights ranks when he ran close to 200 miles an hour at Michigan. Now he pulls away after the service. They applaud in his pit.
You got it.
So as they head back into action, it was actually Hornish of the leaders that rolled first. And, oh, no!
Renna. Spun to the inside here. He spun, guys.
Now, Paul, possibly, and I'm going to underline possibly because we don't know what happened quite yet. Cold tires, 700 horsepower, excitement leaving the pit lane, probably got on the power a bit too soon coming around the turn and brought the car around. See, did not have a fast pit stop. He feels pressure right now to get up and get going. There you go. The car gets under power, snaps the back end around 700 horsepower, cold tires, and the car will turn left on you.
That a snap maybe on an upshift, too?
No, probably the pit speed limiter comes off just at that point, and actually goes from having quarter throttle and partial power to full power.
Well, at least the car looks okay. We'll see if he doesn't get back into the fight. He should. Welcome to Nashville Superspeedway as we are in the midst of this 200-lap race for the Indy Racing League, the 10th event of the season. And right now, Eddie Cheever and Alex Barron are at the front of the field. They did not pit during this caution, at least so far. Well, a year ago in the broadcast booth for our ABC and ESPN telecast was actor Jason Priestley, worked with us all year. Well, he has a new role this year, and a little bit earlier during the evening, Gary Gerald had a chance to talk with Jason.
Well, you know, a year ago, he was a member of the broadcast team for IRL coverage. Jason Priestley is now a full-time, honest-to-goodness racer in the Infinity Pro Series. 2nd place at Kansas City in the inaugural 2 weeks ago. 6th place today. Are you just loving it?
Yeah, I'm having a great time, Gary. I mean, it's one thing to, I was a race car driver, and I went and spent a year up in the booth with Bob Jenkins and all my friends up there. Hey, Bob. And, it's just really exciting to have the opportunity to come back and drive again. And, Kelly Racing and Home Med Pharmacy gave me this great opportunity to drive in this series. And it's been great, man. The competition's really close. I mean, it's just like the show that the IRL guys put on every weekend. It's really tight wheel-to-wheel racing, and it's been really exciting.
What does it do for the acting career?
I don't have an acting career right now. I'm just driving race cars, man. And, I got to say, I think maybe I prefer it.
Good luck. You've done a great job thus far.
Right on. Thanks, Gary.
And here are the results of today's Infinity Pro Series event, the 2nd race in that series. Corey Witherill, who ran at the Indianapolis 500 last year, won the race over Ari Leindijk. Aaron Fike moved from the back row to 3rd place. A.J. Foyt, the 4th, who won the first race of the series at Kansas City, finished 4th. And Ed Carpenter finished in the 5th position with Jason in 6th. Well, Tony Renna was leading this race. Then he came in for a pit stop during the caution. And this is what happened as he came out of the pits. And Scott Goodyear, a bad break for this young man. Apparently cold tires got to him, huh?
Well, Bob, he was doing a great job. He came in first. He had the lead of the race. He did everything he was supposed to do. Now, they had a slow pit stop. And when he comes out, he knows that he's now lost positions. He's going out about 4th or 5th, about ready to get passed by another car. And as the car is going out, he's actually coming up to speed. He's on the rev limiter, and the pit speed limiter then electronically turns off. He gets all that horsepower to the rear wheels and spins the tires. Now, the key secret here is to make sure that you're only on the throttle partially. So when the electronic limiter turns off, you've only got a minor amount of horsepower, not 700 to the rear wheels. It's really a rookie mistake, and I assure you, he'll learn today, and he won't do that again.
Well, he lost 3 laps during that little incident, and Renner right now is in 19th position as we get set in just a few moments for the restart of this event. Nashville is, of course, Music City, USA. It's always great to come here for the race and to visit some very well-known places in the country music industry. We asked some of the drivers that compete regularly in the Indy Racing League who their favorite country music artist is.
Yeah, I like Faith Hill. This kiss, that's pretty good.
Johnny Cash. Tim McGraw.
I listened to a lot of Willie Nelson when I was growing up, so Willie has a soft spot in my heart.
Shania Twain. I like her.
Snoop Doggy Dogg. Toby Keith and Martina McBride.
Faith Hill, because she's cute.
Oh, Reba. Gotta love her.
Lovely Elvis. You know, Elvis is the king, baby.
A variety of opinions there from some of the drivers on who their favorite country music artist is. We'll be right back. Back here at Nashville Superspeedway, Eddie Cheever Jr. in the Red Bull car is leading an Indy Racing League event for the first time since earlier this year in Fontana. He and Alex Barron did not pit, and so they are first and second. Elio Castro-Neves is running in third position. That's where he was before this caution period. Jack?
Well, Bob, Greg Ray has been released from the infield care center. That means you're okay, but you're still scratching your head as to what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing for Harris and A.J. Foyt. You know, we had a big group of people from EDS and AT Kearney here, and we had a pretty good car. We were moving our way up the field, and I saw the yellow come out, and we were right on line, and I don't know if something broke or ran over some fluid or cut a tire or something, but I was right on line, slowing down. The car just took off, and I was just a passenger, so really disappointing. I mean, like you said, I think we're scratching our head. I think that must be the Bermuda Triangle over there or something, because it's just very disappointing for everybody involved. I mean, we deserve to have better showings than this.
Well, we're glad that you're okay. We look forward to your appearance in Michigan next week. Bob?
Well, Scott Paul here with the Firestone winners camp, Ayrton Dare. Firestone provide that camera to him because of his victory just 2 weeks ago, his first of his IRL career at Kansas City. Pace car has now pulled off. Next time around, we should see green. Renna did get restarted. Eddie Cheever is going to lead the field back. The actual second in line is Barron. Salazar is there right behind Cheever as we show you that restart order, but he, of course, is now a lap down. Cheever has gone 43 laps since his last pit stop. Barron 38. Everybody else just stopped 8 laps ago. And Cheever gets a ninth restart. Barron looks to get up and around. Can't do it, but now Barron's under attack by Castro-Neves, and Hornis is under attack by DeFerrin.
A momentum thing, Paul, in the restarts. If you don't time it right, then all of a sudden you get a situation where you don't get past the driver in front of you, and then you lose your momentum.
There goes Hornis, and DeFerrin comes with him as they both go underneath Castro-Neves. And Scheckter closes in to try to battle as well. And Scheckter gets Castro-Neves.
Now remember, we're coming back after this restart. Maybe tire pressures are low. Castro-Neves' car is playing a bit of a blocking line right now. Running low, trying to make sure that the guy doesn't get underneath him. Taking the air away from Scheckter, and sure enough, he's going to start doing some work to try and get himself back up to the front.
Now to Farron. Gets around Barron. Brings Scheckter with him. But as yet, Scheckter hasn't been able to handle up. Now back toward the front. Cheever under attack by Hornis Jr. Cheever is the current leader. Gary Gerald, what's going on with Castro-Neves?
Quick word we had with Tim Cindric just indicated everything's okay. They were very close to contact. He just got a little high in the groove and lost momentum in the gray. They're just telling him be patient and go to work.
There goes the lead, Hornis Grant. Clear. They were looking for a pass on the lead. Hornis, he gets around. But remember that Cheever is the leader of this race.
Some swapping back and forth there right now. Some great passing. These guys love that. Remember, this is a one-line racetrack. And these guys want to try and get the pass completed before they get to the center of the turn.
there. This is for the lead.
Paul Hornish made up a lot of time there in a real hurry.
Go by.
Here's spotter telling him no pressure from behind, giving Sam time at his leisure to make the pass when he thinks he needs to make it. Making the timing right anytime he thinks he can get a run coming out of the turn on Cheever, who's just in front of him.
Time to time, get a look at DeFerrin, who cleared in his battle with Barron. And he now begins to close on this fight for the lead.
Knew there was a problem, timed it right, got the momentum coming off the turn.
So now, look at that. Boy, that was easy for DeFerrin. So Harnish around into the lead, DeFerrin into second. And Cheever falls back to third. Harnish, DeFerrin, Cheever, top three. Tomorrow, the great outdoor games continue on ESPN and ESPN2. Don't forget all kinds of great coverage, the bass fishing, the dog agility, which I personally recommend, hot saw and more. All the coverage coming up tomorrow. Barron and now Catherine Nevis. Now, Catherine Nevis, remember, he struggled a little here. And look at this. Comes back in.
Well, now here comes Schechter also, Paul. A lot of guys on the move right now. It's important to point out, even though you have the horsepower around here, the car has to handle.
And the caution comes out again. Yellow light. The report is debris on the track. So, once again, they're all going to bottle up. Cheever will probably head for the pits, as will Barron. But the leader of the race, once again, is Sam Hornish Jr., followed by DeFerrin, and then Eddie Cheever.
Nashville Superspeedway is under a caution once again, this time for debris on the track, and it's good news for Eddie Cheever and Alex Barron. You can see there in our graphic how it has been 50 and 55 laps since they have had a pit stop. So here is Cheever now on the entry to pit lane, and Alex Barron is right behind him. So a bit of a break. These two drivers will be able to get some service here under the caution. Sam Hornish Jr. is still going to be the leader of this race, with Gilles DeFerrin running in second position, and Ayrton Dare will be shown in the third spot.
This is a big break, as you said, Bob, for Eddie Cheever. The car was pushing very badly. They've now slowed the car. They got it back in gear, though, without losing fire in the engine. But they made a tire pressure adjustment to solve a push condition.
The debris caution is a short one. We're set to go back to racing once again, Paul.
And it'll be Sam Hornish Jr. that leads the field back, followed by DeFerrin, Ayrton Dare, Elio Castroneves. Salazar will sit in there as we show you the restart order between DeFerrin and Dare. Those cars are very similar. You see them back there. Sellout crowd here tonight as we go back to the green flag. They've been running laps very fast, over 201 miles an hour. There's Hornick. 84 laps are complete. The qualifying here, 20 were faster than last year's pole sitter.
Paul Hornish is doing exactly what he did last year. He led 86 laps in the race event last year and looked like he was on his way to sail to a win until he had a clogged fuel injector, which slows the engine down. One cylinder wasn't firing. He ended up having to work his way back through the field and ended up not having a win. Buddy Lazier won for his third event here last year. Buddy Lazier obviously winning the IROC race in Chicago last weekend, but not having good luck with it right now, sitting back in 11th.
Pennzoil Panther on point. Sam Hornish Jr. The Marlboro team, Penske and DeFerrin. From the Harris cars, Ayrton Dare.
DeFerrin, you have to say, is very impressive. Didn't have a great qualifying, started 13th, said that he thought he would have a good race car. He's done that earlier this year. Started from the back and got himself up towards the front, but right now he looks like a guy that's very patient, running a very smart race. You know, there's a long way to go yet.
Talking about that leader, reigning Indy Racing League champion. Wants to get away from the track, picks up a bowling ball and relaxes. Sam Hornish Jr., young but incredibly quick. So first, second, and third, Hornish, DeFerrin, Dare, right together on the track.
And Paul, as we ride along here, watch the rear suspension right now. You'll actually get a chance to see that move up and down, and you can see how bumpy this racetrack is. Get on the rev limiter as we go along into the turns.
90 laps complete.
Engines run at 10,700 RPM, producing almost 700 horsepower. Cars only weigh 1,550 pounds, like a little rocket ship.
Sam Hornish Jr. in front. Gary Gerald.
Paul, on the onboard camera shot from Sam Hornish, you see Go JC on the nose there. Doug and Beth Bowles, one of the owners of this team, had a new baby born on Wednesday, Jeffrey Carter. The little Jeffrey is having some heart problems, and the crew is sending along their thoughts and prayers as he rides at high speed with Sam Hornish.
That's Jeff Ward ahead of Hornish. Ward is way behind the race, a full lap behind. He was able to catch up. He was 2 back. And under stop, he was able to come back to 1 lap down.
Clear.
Top 3. Hornish, DeFerrin, Dare. Catherine Nevis is now joined in this fight. Approaching the halfway point in the Firestone Indy 200 at Nashville. Sellout crowd. They can watch it live or watch it on the... Back at the Firestone Indy 200 at Nashville. There's the top of the field. Top 5 for you with Hornish Jr. still leading. Some change there. Now let's consider the point standings. When they arrived here, here's the way the points worked out. With DeFerrin 8 behind and Sam Hornish Jr. 19 back. So right now, if you were to calculate them based on the positions they're in at this moment, Catherine Nevis and DeFerrin are tied for the lead in the points fight at 347 points, and Hornish has moved to within 1 point of that battle for the lead. So it's really tight and continues to be, and probably will for the rest of the season. Nashville Superspeedway, the Firestone Indy 200 approaching the halfway point. Matter of fact, as they cross the line this time by, it will be the halfway point. Sam Hornish Jr. is leading it right now. The average has been incredibly fast. Green race up at 195.7. Hornish has actually turned laps at nearly 202 miles an hour. Only 3 cars out. Ray with an accident. Buell and Fisher, the teammates, out with mechanicals of fire for Buell.
Some great laps being put down right now, Paul. Drivers are getting a feel for the racetrack. A lot of rubber is being put down. Been hot, been humid here. A lot of drivers are having a lot of times really rough inside the cockpit. And right now...
Listen here, what's going on with this car?
I'll tell you, there's an extra red...
Coming outside. They want you to bring it in.
Yeah, now, Paul... There's an extra red light on his dash right there. That top single red light is giving him an indication that there's something awry in the motor. He knows that. You can hear the engine is off song right now. Sounds like it's running at 7 cylinders.
They asked him to bring it in.
He's coming outside.
He kept it up.
Clear. All clear behind.
Yeah, look at that Firestone telemetry, Paul. 153 miles an hour when the other guys are doing 200.
Fuel, tires and fuel. Coming outside.
Whatever it is they're going to try and work on it, though. They're going to go tires and fuel. You heard that.
First thing they'll do, get the service work done, and then look for the problem.
Dismore has already fallen a lap behind. He's going to fall further. Here is the battle for second place. Gil de Ferran, Ayrton Dare. And that's Catherine Evans just behind Dare.
Now remember, Dare started back in 19th position. Sort of hard to take in that qualifying after you've actually won the race the previous weekend, but certainly looks like he's got a great race car underneath him.
7th place, Felipe Giaffoni just turned his fastest lap of the race at better than 200 miles an hour. Cars here at Nashville this weekend. Next weekend to Michigan for the Michigan Indy 400. I think everybody's pretty pumped about that. Arie Luyendyk is coming back to run that one. He's only run Indy the past couple of years. And what's going on here? That's de Ferran. He's only 44 laps from the last stop.
Now he's under power, Paul. We heard him get on the gas.
Okay, just nice and smooth. 4 tires and fuel, guys. 4 tires and fuel.
Maybe a routine stop by the sounds of it. Motor sounds off song, but that is a pit speed limiter that you hear.
2, 1 is shallow, shallow, nice and smooth, nice and smooth. All right, let's go, guys. Watch me. Get a good one here.
Seems like no changes, Paul. Nice clean stop.
9.8 seconds on the stop. We know de Ferran could go easily another 10 laps, so Penske's splitting the strategy now. Now they're talking about bringing Dare in.
All these guys running in the front, probably using a lot of fuel here tonight. A lot of fuel in this hot, humid conditions to keep the engine cool. Here Dare off the throttle a little bit, just mid-turn. 130 degrees inside the cockpit there. Goes underneath George to give him George Mack to give another lap down.
Oh, look at that cruise.
He's high,
Careful.
Oh,
yeah, not quite careful enough. So Salazar brushes the wall.
We talked about that one lane at this track, Paul, in the bottom, and the guys have to start working, getting the rubber up on the high side. Looks like he might have made room for the guys to go underneath him and just got caught up in the gray with those right side tires. Sucks you right up into the wall, just like quicksand.
And if his teammate Dare was planning on a stop, that's going to help.
And a gang of cars, he's a little bit high, and then he just gets into that grade. It takes him up. Now, this track is a little different than some of the other tracks that we work. To go side by side, you almost have to be wheel to wheel. See, there's a little bit of space right now between himself and the car in front of him, or car beside him, and he just is not low enough to be able to keep on that black section that we talked about, which is actually the area where all the rubber is, where you get all the grip.
Though that looks like a fairly light hit, and probably is at the brush with the wall, though a lot of damage. We have to remember that Salazar suffered that very serious injury back on April 16th, the torn vertebral artery, and the crew is right there. I'm sure they're thinking about that. They want to make absolutely sure that he's fine.
I can tell you from experience, Paul, that these guys are the best in the business. It's great that every track that you travel to, you have the same doctors and medical workers going with you to each venue.
Yeah, he climbs right out, hops out easily. Don't forget to log on to ESPN.com, keyword ABCIRL, to check our new Speedcast real-time race results and IRL Challenge Fantasy game. So Hornish is slowed at the 111th lap behind the Chevrolet Corvette pace car. Dare is second. Catherine Evans is third. De Ferran went in before the caution came out. The pits are now open. We'll see who peels off here. I'm assuming that everybody would. They're still on the backstretch, just passing the scene of the Salazar accident. And if they stop here, and it may have been part of the Penske thinking, though the top 10 are all 50 laps from their last stop. you get yourself within one more stop of the finish, you stop right in there.
Well, you may do, Paul, but I'm a little bit afraid that DeFerrin might get caught out. He's now one lap down, and because this is underneath yellow right now, he might find himself actually a lap down when everybody comes out.
A.J. Foyt told his pit crew to be smooth and not to panic. Young A.J. Foyt IV changing the right front tire. His grandpa's told him to make a wing adjustment, and he wasn't sure what to do. Checking with Gary.
Sam Hornish getting his service. Fresh Firestone's Milan fielding complete. Kevin Blanche points at his driver, holding him. Now he rolls in just under 11 seconds, but Castroneves is already out in front of him.
And Dare got him right at the line as well. The line for the blend. So Hornish loses at least 2 places coming out of the pits.
ESPN's presentation of the Firestone Indy 200 is being brought to you by Firestone, America's tire since 1900. And Pennzoil, we're driving protection. That's a beautiful Bell South Tower in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. We're located about 30 miles from that city at Nashville Superspeedway, and it's the 10th race of the IRL season. Eddie Cheever has chosen not to pit once again during this caution period, so he is at the front of the field. Elio Castroneves is running in second spot. Well, we're past the halfway point, so let's take a look at what's happened so far. 22 cars came down in beautiful formation. This was one of the nicest starts I've seen in the IRL in a long time. Billy Boat was on pole. His challenge in the early part of the race was Sam Hornish on lap number 8. Hornish came down through the tri-oval, tried him high. They almost touched, but Boat hung onto the lead. 4 laps later on lap number 12. Hornish goes to the inside this time, and Sam Hornish, the defending IRL champion, takes the lead for the first time. On lap number 24, trouble for Robbie Buell as his car was smoking and even fire seen from it. On the 58th lap of the race, Greg Gray smacks the wall. In turn number 4, he was able to walk away, however, from the accident. Tony Renna led until the caution. He was coming out of the pits and spun. He is now being shown as 3 laps down in 16th position. On the 109th lap of the race just a few moments ago, Eliseo Salazar hits the wall in turn number 2, so 2 of the A.J. Foyt cars are out of the race. Jack?
Bob, let me explain to you why people are pitting a little earlier than they might need to in terms of fuel consumption. This is the right rear tire that just came off of Ayrton Dare's car. If you look closely, you can see the beginnings of the cord starting to show through. People want to use extreme caution here, Gary Gerald, and that's a reason why you pit before you're out of fuel.
There was a different kind of problem for John Menard's team, as Mark Dismore has been in and out, and the engine control unit apparently malfunctioning, and they're trying to correct that, but that has put him well off the pace. Meanwhile, P.J. Jones is back, tells us you have medical clearance to get back into a race car. How soon may we see you?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to ask John Menard or somebody around here. We're unemployed right now, so we're just looking for something to drive. And, you know, this team has just struggled so bad. I mean, with John getting hurt, myself, and then, you know, having Raul and having Mark, it's unfortunate. It's a good team, and John puts a lot of effort into it. So. All right. Well, we hope we can see you maybe even next week in Michigan. Yeah, I'd like to say hi to my wife. She's expecting any minute, so I got to get home. All right, DJ. Paul?
Yeah, what are you doing here, BJ?
He's shopping. He's looking for a ride. That's what he's doing.
So you can see the Chevrolet Corvette pace car is moving on course, ready for them to restart. Here are the pit position changes with Castroneves taking advantage of it. Cheever, of course, did not stop. He's now 33 laps since his last stop. That'll probably carry him up. For all of them, it'll be 1 stop to the finish. But with Cheever out of the order, it'll make it fairly interesting depending on where the yellows fall. Straight up restart order. Cheever Jr., Castroneves, Dare, the top 3. Hornish already beginning to crowd Dare. Green flag is out. Here we go again. You ride with the defending IRL champion, Sam Hornish Jr.
Roger.
Just ahead of them. Dare works Castroneves easily. Moves into second. Now taking a look at Cheever. Boy, this guy caught the fever when he won 2 weeks ago at Kansas City. He takes the lead.
Oh, that's awfully strong after the restart. Boy, he didn't even lose momentum. Tried him on the high side. It didn't work yet. He closed the door. He went to the low side. He wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Now Castroneves comes up to work on Eddie Cheever. Hornish closes.
Eddie doesn't look like he has the speed that he needs. He's starting to run a bit of a defensive line.
Schechter, Giafone, Lazier all close in behind this fight.
Certainly Eddie wants to do so well for the team and Nissan and Infinity. They've got a plant very close here. It's almost like a hometown race for these guys.
They go too wide. Back there you saw Barron and Boat trying one another. Here comes Hornish. Clear. Well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah, Schechter's right behind him. He'll probably get a draft coming off the turn.
That's Schechter, the 52 car. He's got the box. I think they're getting a little more careful about that.
Well, there's probably some radio communication going now, Paul, after a few of the collisions that those guys have had so far this year as teammates.
Oh, look at this. Giafone and Boat as they come up behind Cheever. Giafone gets high. Loses some of the energy. Sharp's coming in. You're on board with Sharp.
This is when it always bunches up after the restarts. Great opportunity to take time and maybe get past some of these guys because they're all bunched up. If they spread out, you get past one guy, and you got to go many, many laps to be able to get caught up to the next guy in front of you. So here's a prime opportunity to get past a few guys, hopefully in just a few laps.
Darry takes a look at Lazier a couple of times there, decides not to get involved. That's actually his teammate, Tony Renna, behind him. Boy, look at all this traffic.
This is a D-shaped oval, Paul, a very familiar track to a lot of these drivers, but it's 1.3 miles in length, not the 1.5 that we're used to, or the 2-mile track that we'll be visiting next week in Michigan. You wouldn't think that would be a big difference, but I can tell you, you spend a lot of time turning the race car here, not that much time going straight.
Farron, DeFerrin, Richie Hearn. They all battle one another back in 10th place. Back at the front, second place. You see just a glimpse of Darry, then Castroneves, and Hornish closing in. Hornish 201 miles an hour last time around.
Hornish's car definitely gets stronger as the run goes on. You can see him here slightly underneath Castroneves without a problem. No challenge there. Castroneves certainly knew that he was had. Now, every time that Castroneves gets going stronger on the restarts, Hornish comes along after about 10-15 laps into his run. Tire pressures come up, the temperatures come up, the car starts to work and handle for him very strongly.
Second place, you're looking up ahead at the leader. There's Hornish Jr. Don't forget RPM tonight, the nightly news source for motorsports news on television since 1996. See the latest edition with host John Kernan for a recap of the latest headlines. It's RPM tonight, nightly, at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Here comes Hornish. He works Darry, the leader. And he's got it. Clear. Boy, talk about power. Yellow comes out. Look what he did.
Behind you, crash behind you.
Oh, absolutely. Darry wanted to come down, got surprised, and he was on that high lane. He's not very happy with that.
He's okay. Takes the wheel off. That shows he's all right. So just as Hornish came past him, suddenly Darry got pushed high, or went high.
Well, maybe pushed high. Probably the proper term for that one.
I'm letting you say that.
But you know, Sam had the momentum, had the speed, but this is where the spotters come in. He's got to tell him that he's looking, he's looking, he's looking, he's going low, and once you hear that, if indeed a spotter did tell him that, then he knows he has to make room and make a lane.
A.J. Foyt came here for the first time this year with 3 cars in regular series competition, and 3 of them are all going to go back on the hook of the record.
Now watch Paul, he's clearly underneath him.
has a run on him, but I think he did bring an element of surprise to Daré, because Daré was going towards the low line. And then these cars have to run so close, almost wheel to wheel, to be able to get through the turn side by side. And you can see right now that Hornish is still a lot of space down here in the bottom. He's not down to the bottom line yet. Still about 3 feet. The car needs to be down to the bottom line, but he's already surprised Daré. Daré's reacted with the wheel, gone up to the right. He's now up into the gray up here, and sure enough, he's going towards the wall.
Another look. Here comes Hornish on the low side. It's a clean pass. Nobody touches. Just pushes him up. And that gets the wall. No contact. Daré just gets a little higher than he should have. Oh, watch it one more time. Listen up.
Get off the throttle. That's the element surprise. Had to turn right out of the throttle, or out of the steering rather, to make sure they didn't end up hitting Hornish, and sure enough, he was up on that grade.
And mostly what I heard was the very expensive sound for A.J. Foyt, our 5th caution of the night. A few drivers making pit stops here under this caution brought out when Ayrton Daré impacted the wall in turn number 4. All 3 A.J. Foyt cars here tonight, driven by Greg Ray, Eliseo Salazar, and now Ayrton Daré, have crashed. That is the car of Ayrton Daré, which had led earlier tonight, but it is now out of the race. We have had 5 leaders and 7 lead changes in the first 131 laps. Under our 5th caution of the evening here at Nashville Superspeedway due to an incident involving Ayrton Daré. He becomes the 3rd A.J. Foyt driver of the evening to exit the race by crashing. Right now it is Sam Hornish who is leading this race. We go down to Jack Arute.
And A.J. Foyt is surveying the damage from one of his 3 cars that end up wrecked badly. How tough is this on this team, A.J.?
Well, with Michigan next week is 3 cars, but they were all doing pretty good, you know. And one thing about the racetrack, you get out of the groove, you're history, and that's just racing, you know.
You talk about just being racing. 2 weeks ago in Kansas, it came up all roses for you.
Well, like I say, one day is chicken, next day is feathers. So we had feathers here, including with Anthony, you know. He got in trouble, and it's just one of them days. You can have good weekends, you can have bad. All you can do is smile and go get ready for the next one.
All right, well, real quick, let's get a quick comment from Eliseo Salazar, who's made it back, too. A.J. Foyt just looks at him and shakes his head. I don't know, was that a good look or a bad look?
I don't know. I'll have to ask him. I haven't been able to talk to him. But we were, you know, running at the front, but then we had a bad pit stop, 27-second pit stop, and that put me, you know, a couple of laps down. And then I guess, you know, I changed my style, my driving style. I was being too nice, letting people on the inside because I wasn't fighting for the top positions. And I let somebody and unbody last year, and that put me on the outside, and I touched the marble, and it was a slight hit. You know, I mean, I didn't hurt the car much, but unfortunate. But on the other hand, you know, all in all, it was a good weekend. We were running competitive, and
it's great to have you back.
We are back.
Thanks, Eliseo. Bob?
Eliseo Salazar is back. A.J. Foyt, by the way, referred to Anthony. That is, of course, A.J. Foyt the 4th. He finished 4th in the Infinity Pro Series race that was held earlier here today. In the Indy Racing League event, it's Sam Hornish Jr. that leads the competition, 134 laps in. He has led so far 56 circuits. It began at Homestead Miami Speedway in the very first race of the season, and it continues today. The battle between Marlboro Team Penske and the Pennzoil Panther team. There are the stats. Hornish has an equal number of wins to both of Penske's drivers, but as far as the other statistics are concerned, Team Penske leads those. Those statistics, of course, coming into tonight's race. Sam Hornish, Elio Castroneves are 1st and 2nd as we get set to go back to race, and the captain looks on, Paul.
Yeah, Roger working that strategy hard right now. He keeps track of DeFerrin's car, and Eddie Cheever, as kind of expected, came in and filled up right at the end of this caution period. So now the field controlled by the leader, Sam Hornish. Hornish Jr., Castroneves, Thomas Schechter. Look at him right in there. He hasn't led yet tonight, which is unusual for Thomas. Billy Vogt, the pole sitter, comes back in 4th place, followed by a Giafone. Green flag is out. Here we go again. controls the restart, and that momentum helps.
Very much so. You saw in the restart, Scheckter looked like he was going to take a look at Castroneves. Maybe that Infinity power was certainly helping him, but he's probably also seen what's been going on here tonight. People trying the high side, getting in trouble in the gray. He looked towards the high and then backed out of it. Still a long time to go. Paul, you mentioned he's not led a lap here so far. There's been so many races so far this year that he's led laps, but not one. Maybe he'll lead the last one.
DeFerrin works Raul Boycel, takes 7th away from him. You also saw Giafoni and Lazier as they were going at it with one another just ahead of that battle. Look back here. There comes Sharp. Richie Hearn's behind him there. Sharp overhauled Boycel, and now Hearn's going to try it. Boycel was a solid 8. Now falling backwards. Jackaroo, how is Ayrton Dare?
He's fine. He's been released from the hospital. Ayrton, when you get off the line here, what happens?
I was surprised with him going by. There's a miscommunication between me and my spotter. And then suddenly I was turning in and I saw him on my side. And it looks like he's still a little bit mad at me from last race because he didn't give me a lot of room. You know, if you go side by side, 2 cars, you're able to go side by side. But once he moved a little bit up, I put my tires on the marbles and just no grip at all. Went to the wall.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, that reference, of course, is to 2 weeks ago at Kansas City when Dare took the lead away from Harnish with just 2 to go and took his first win. Firestone Indy 200, 141 laps at 200 is complete. Sam Hornish Jr., the defending IRL champion, is the leader, followed by the Indy champion, Elio Castroneves, and rookie Thomas Scheckter. Pole sitter Billy Boat is in 4th. This has been an incredibly fast race. Sam Hornish Jr. has run laps near 202 miles an hour. Couple of incidents tonight. Nothing that involves injury to the drivers. Salazar, Dare, and Ray all driving for A.J. Foyt, all with 3 separate incidents. Costly night for the man from Houston.
Very difficult for those guys, Paul. What do you think? Dare won last weekend and was strong, was leading when he got crashed out here tonight. So big disappointment for him, but such a talented young man. He's going to probably win a lot of races coming up here shortly. Did you get through that breakthrough race after so many tries? What a satisfying feeling that has to have been.
Castroneves now has the rookie Thomas Scheckter working on him. Eddie Cheever staying in this battle too. Stopped just before we went green. Took on a full load of fuel. There's been a lot of conversation up and down the pit road about what you need in terms of caution to make it with 1 stop to go or to make it to the end. Hornish Jr. was especially interested, and they told him, you're going to need more distance or more yellow, Gary.
Yeah, he was inquiring even if he came in and got a full load of fuel, if he could go to the end. Andy Brown told him he would need at least 13 laps of caution, but they're nearing the window now where a full load of fuel will take you the distance. Joe DeFerrin was one of those in the top 10 who did pit, and he has been told by Penske, remember, everybody in front of you is going to have to pit.
There's a serious conversation. That's the sight gauge on the tank itself with methanol, and they mark it, Scott, after every stop, recalculate it, take a look at the telemetry. Unfortunately, the telemetry, even though you reset the flow gauge that reads that fuel-injected car, you don't get an accurate reading all of the time. I mean, it's close. It's good enough for you and I in our passenger car, but it's just far enough away that it can make a world of difference on a 1-mile track. Well, so it is Sam Hornish Jr. still in front. Back at the Firestone Indy 200, I'm Paul Page. Scott Goodyear alongside, and Bob Jenkins down in the pits, Gary Gerald and Jack Arute. Sam Hornish Jr. is our leader. Order has remained the same. Giafoni was running some pretty hot laps, then slowed down a little and picked it back up. Appears to be okay now, though. Jack Arute?
Well, Mark Dismore, you drove the good fight, but finally the car gave out on you.
Yeah, first I want to thank Johns Manville, John Menard, and Firestone. They gave us a great tire tonight. Yeah, it was a shame, and we had a great car tonight, Jack. And We just had something happen, and I'm not really sure what. The motor went flat, so I'm not sure if it was electronics or what it was exactly. But, you know, I had a great car tonight, and Michigan's coming up in about 5 days. We had a good test there, so looking forward to going to Michigan and run all 400 miles and maybe have a great day.
Hornish Jr., the leader. Catherine Nevis slowed a little bit. Schecter's right there. Gary Gerald.
Concern from Tim Cindric and the crew for Elio Castro Nevis. The right rear is reportedly low on the telemetry. We're waiting. The crew is over the wall, led by Rick Reineman with new rubber out there. We'll see if he comes in on this lap.
Gary, if they decide to stop right now, everybody, if they stop at this moment, is in range of the finish, are they not?
Yes, they are. They're in the window now where a full load of fuel will take you comfortably to the checkered, even if it's green all the way.
Catherine Nevis still holds off Schechter. Boat closes on Schechter. Boat's going to try him. And gets a little high. Again, loses momentum and falls back. Giafone now going to close in. All this unraveling in front of a sellout crowd.
That was his team coming to him, Paul, telling him that the right rear is going low. Now, Elio Castro Nevis has an option on his dashboard. He can actually change. He can change a page over and see for himself on the dash what the tire pressures are. Now, that is getting below the threshold. They're telling him to pit. They are concerned. It might not be a sensor. It might just be tire pressure going down. And we saw with Thomas Schechter just a few weeks ago. Tire pressure goes down and puts you into the wall.
Elio's keeping the pace up.
Elio, no reason to be brave here. Follow 1 PSI every lap.
Is it possible that Elio, that we're talking about a faulty telemetry reading, and he knows that the car is okay? Is that possible?
Well,
no, he's
heard
pulling
Tim
down
Cindric
now.
say, don't be brave, because they're seeing something that they confirmed on the telemetry. Telemetry usually does not go wrong, although there could be a bad sensor. Now, Castro Nevis is driving this car. If it's working perfectly, he thinks there's nothing going on. It could just very well be the sensor. Now, I got to tell you, Paul, that tire looks pretty good on the back there. It looks pretty flat across there.
Castro Nevis here. The right rear is the concern. You hear Tim Cindric, and you heard him tell Elio, no need to be brave. Rubber complete. Oh, now the jet was back up. Now they get him away.
What was that? Did the jack fail to retract or something? They put the...
Well, sometimes what happens, Paul, sometimes because of the heat and because of during the pit stops, the jacks themselves, the air pneumatic jacks that lift the cars up during the pit stops, do not retract all the way back into their housings. One of the crewmen probably saw that. They put the pressure back in. You saw the handle go in, put pressure back into the system, and when you retract the handle back out, sometimes it then sucks the jack up, and that's probably a good call on their part.
And Catherine Nevis had to watch as Hornish came screaming past. He's gone 2 laps behind the race with that stop. Talk about fast. Last lap around, top 3 were all over 201 miles an hour. Current track conditions. Wind no factor. Track temperature is coming down. Speeds are going up.
That always does, Paul, especially on a cement track like this. When we started, it was 88 degrees air temperature, 115 track. You can see air temperature did not change that much, but the track temperature certainly did.
And it's only dropped 2 degrees since we started. It's been really tough for the guys in the pit. Sam Hornish Jr. is just flying around this track. One more stop to the finish for everyone.
Later on.
Welcome back to Nashville in the Firestone Indy 200. Sam Hornish Jr., the leader of the race. Look at this. This is the tire that came off of Elio Castro Nevis's car.
You can see that small mark that's in the tire right there. Those guys obviously had a cut, and that's the telemetry system that lets them know when the tire is deflating. Now, years ago, we did not have that system, and a driver would just end up in the wall because maybe he wouldn't feel the tire going down, and sure enough, he'd go up and hit the wall very hardly and be out of the race. But here now with this new system, it makes the drivers feel very confident.
Second place is Thomas Schechter. Not everybody is due for a stop shortly, Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, here's
what Thomas Schechter's Red Bull team's going to do. They're going to bring him in on lap 28.
Caution, Jack. Sorry. Oh, and it ends up to be a double situation.
It is Thomas Schechter along with Billy Boat.
But I think we saw, well, we'll wait and look. It looks like when they slowed for the yellow, you had another car.
Okay, Billy?
Oh, man, Schechter again. 11 cars, 10 races for that team.
Feel like, Sam? Lower A-arm side bent.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Now, if you look
see it
right now on the screen,
we'll be all right.
you can see right down here, right in front of the tire, there's a piece of wing right there that's flapping in the breeze.
It might just be a flat tire, though, guys. Copy that, Sam. I show no pressure.
More than that.
More than a flat tire, but look right there. You see the flatness of the tire.
Doesn't look to me off from up here, but I didn't get a good look last time by. Just be careful. Just keep her straight. Don't scuff her. You'll pop her off the bead. Just keep her straight.
There's a good reminder.
Oh, Pancho Carter with some great advice. A lot of experience there with Pancho.
I think the only other thing that might be wrong is we might have some of the wheel flip messed up. Wheel flip.
Great.
Still looks like the camber looks all right to me. It looks like everything seems to be all right. Other than, like you said, there's no pressure. They're going to try and open the pits this time, so be ready.
Now, Paul, there seems to be a lot of things going on here. I'm not sure how this all got started, but...
Well, it looked to me, and I only caught a glimpse of it. We'll be able to see it in replay.
Jonesy, I'll look at it, Jonesy. I'll look at it and make the decision from here. Just change the tires this time. Fuel and change tires. That's what we're going to do here. Sunshine Tire Service. Make sure your pit limiter's set, Sam. Watch your braking. You got 3 tires. Remember, take your time. Come on in here. Come on over. Come on over. Come on over.
Braking's going to be hard. Right front barely touching the ground.
Oh, we've got a great look here at the left rear. The fresh rubber goes on. There is significant damage there in front of it. They're trying to rip away the bodywork. They can't do it.
You're clear. You're clear.
They tried to pull away some of that bodywork in front of the wheel, but they couldn't do it.
All right. This is Schechter.
Going high. Looks like he's trying to get past Eddie Cheever. We talked about the low line before, getting up into the gray, and sure enough, looks like the grayness and the marbles we've heard the other drivers talk about sucked him in, and sure enough, right behind him comes Billy Boat.
That could be fluid on the track, too. They got to keep that in mind. So at the same time, here's the leader as the yellow comes on.
Here we go right now. Sam Hornish sees the yellow, gets out of the throttle. George Mack does not, comes up and rams right into the back of Sam Hornish.
Here's a look from Sam Hornish's onboard camera.
Going along. And you can see the yellow light flashing very vividly right there on his dash, but you also saw his hands move. That's when he got hit from behind. The drivers have a few ways of actually hearing that there's a yellow caution. Number one, radio communication from the pits or the spotter, the yellow lights on the dash, and also the yellow lights on the racetrack.
So caution out once again. Jackaroo, what's going on pit side?
Well, Paul, let's report to you what we just overheard on the radio from Thomas Schechter. When Thomas Schechter was coming up to pass his car owner Eddie Cheever Jr. on the inside, Schechter is complaining that Cheever did not give him room, forced him outside the line, into the marbles, and he wallops the wall. Schechter was livid about it and kept saying, "Why, Eddie? Why, Eddie? You're my teammate, Eddie. Thanks a lot, Eddie."
Well, that relationship's not working out.
Well, After watching that replay, Paul, I think I sort of have to agree, because Eddie should have been right on the very low side of the racetrack. Now, we talked about the low groove is the fast groove, and the low groove is the groove that you need. But look how much room is here on the bottom. Eddie knows his teammates coming around him. He should be right down near the blacktop, near the asphalt himself. He's left too much space here. Consequently, Schechter's trying to go around the high side and gets off the groove.
Yeah, reference Radon just behind him there was keeping the car down. Boat just ended up following Schechter up to the wall. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
And in the Sam Hornish pit, Paul, you look down here as the damaged wheel that came off the left rear from Sam Hornish. But then if you swing over here, you'll see that there's a whole new left side pod standing by in the pits. I don't know that a decision has been made yet to come in and get this, but it is available in case the car isn't working the way they want it to work over the final laps. Jack?
Well, Gary, normally in NASCAR racing, you'll see wheel donuts like this, but you seldom see them on race cars in IRL competition. This is on the side pod of George Mack, who collided right there with, at the time, your leader, Sam Hornish.
All right, Sam Hornish Jr. back, damage to the left side, fresh tires. He questioned the control arm. There's Cheever. Remember that we're talking a team that this year, coming into this race, has 10 wrecked race cars. Very expensive.
Gonna be a long talk in the trailer between Cheever and his new protege.
We've got another yellow. Eddie Cheever, second race of the season, second race that Cheever is involved with contact with the wall. Boy, that's heavy damage. That's going to be expensive.
Oh! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
There goes Cheever's engine. That was what we're worried about.
Josh Lazier, who contact with Thomas Schechter. Yellow comes out. It's the leader again. Thomas Schechter into the wall. Oh! Hornish in trouble. He got tapped.
The right in front of Eddie Cheever's car, collecting Hornish's car.
Oh! And this time it's Eddie Cheever. Cheever physically is okay. Temperamentally, I'm not sure where he's at.
Oh!
Schechter!
So close to the win again.
Thomas Schechter has had an incredible early IRL career. Look at the statistics. We compare his stats through the first 10 IndyCar races with Mario Andretti, A.J. Foyt, and Rick Mears. Schechter has 2 poles while the others had none. There are others that are leading, but look at the number of laps led by Schechter. 321 so far this year, but he has had 7 DNFs. Scott Sharp, Richie Hearn, and Alex Barron did not pit, so they are at the front of the field in the first 3 positions. Then comes Sheldon Barron. Scott Goodyear.
Hey, Scott Sharp, Scott Goodyear in the booth. We've seen a lot of guys have trouble on that higher line tonight. Is it finally getting some rubber down and going to work for you up there?
Well, maybe for some guys, Scott, but it's awfully dicey up there. Every time I've gone up there, I've almost hit the wall. So we really seem to be working better with the Delphi car on the bottom. But Delphi guys, Tom Kelly and everybody's given us some great strategy to put us in this position. See how long we can hang in there.
And Scott, you've got 25 laps here almost for the race to finish. Do you guys need another pit stop?
Oh, we're good to go.
Good luck.
Hey, Scotty. 1 to go, 1 to go.
That's fascinating. They're good to go. They're, according to Scott, they're 47 laps out from their last stop, according to our calculations. Chevrolet Corvette pace car down off the course. We're going to go.
We're going to go. I'm figuring that he's going to be running mid-60s, high 60 laps in the tank full of fuel, so we're going to see what's going to happen here. A little gambling, possibly?
Oh, I think so. There is the restart order. Sharp then Hearn. Both of them 47 laps since their last stop. Barron is actually third. He's 42 out. Everybody else just stopped.
And Paul, obviously for Hornish, they elected to not change that side pod on the left side. They leave him out.
And the only question there is whether or not there's a control arm problem. Hornish said he thought there might be. There could be, but we won't know until we get this thing back up to speed. Look at Hornish. As the green's out, Sharp leads it. Boy, they go 3 wide. Whoa, 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 stay it down. That's Renna. And he fires up
hear them call for 4 tires. The marbles get on the tires. The tires are junk. He'll be in to put new tires on next time around.
Sharp at the front. Hornet trying to go for the front.
Still there. Be careful. Okay.
Trying to work on
You got
Hearn.
one closing. Gotta be looking
And
inside.
that's the Farron inside.
Duck in behind him. Don't race him. Okay, now work on some timing. Let's get back by him.
So the Farron comes around Hornet. The Farron into 4th place. Sharp, Farron, Hearn. Then this battle. Front 3 cars are much lighter on fuel. Piece of yellow debris out there in the middle of the track. Oh, and another crash.
That was a hard impact, Paul. A lot of...
And it's Buddy Lazier. So once again, this is caution out. This is the 7th of the day. Buddy Lazier, who just scored a victory in the IROC. In fact, 5 of the top 6 places in the IROC at Chicago were IRL drivers. Buddy's moving around. Well, obviously, Buddy is, he's at least conscious, and they go to work with him there. We'll wait to hear what the story is on Buddy. So now with just 18 laps to go, the caution is out. So we'll go back and look at this.
2 cars very close, Paul, and possibly Buddy might have got touched and pushed up into the gray area and then into the wall. We talked about this so many times before. For the guy to go around on the high side, that lower car has to be right down on the bottom of the banking. This is basically a 1.5 groove racetrack.
Well, Scott Sharp just told you that it was really skatey when you get up off of that. That was Giafone that he was been battling with, in fact, for most of the race. Jackaroo?
Well, Thomas Schechter and Billy Boat have both been released from the hospital. First of all, I'll check with Billy. Billy, what happened to you?
You know, I don't really know. Thomas got up high. I mean, I don't know if we just got up high, if there was something on the racetrack. It just took off. I mean, it was like I hit a patch of ice. It was, just didn't, we never had a chance.
Thomas Schechter also been released from the hospital. Thomas, we overheard the radio communication. The frustration was so evident.
You know, once again, I speak to you when the race isn't finished. Disappointing for me, disappointing for the team. But, you know, I have to go look at the tape and see what happened. I was lapping Eddie. He was a lot slower, and he forced me to use the high line. And, you know, we just have to go look at it and see what happened. I'm disappointed and disappointed for the team, too.
Bob, Paul?
Well, the disappointed Schechter, he was running laps at 200 and something, 201-ish, and Cheever was running at 199, so there's a little evidence there. Now, we're looking at the Hornish car. Watch, see that piece? See that go bouncing on the track? That's what we mentioned just before the crash. But I'm not so sure the two are related.
Well, they were separately away from each other, Paul. Matter of fact, we could see that wheel flip from Hornish's car further down the straight going into turn 3 before that crash happened. Now, probably the team should have actually tried to pull that off, because there probably really was no chance that that was going to stay on for the remaining 25 laps or so. So now Hornish looks like he's coming down into...
Well, Hornish got some ground to make up. Sharp is the leader.
ESPN's presentation of the Firestone Indy 200, brought to you by Firestone, America's tire since 1900. And Chevrolet, wherever there's a winner's circle, we'll be there. And of course is the state capitol in Nashville, one of the many sights that we have seen and enjoyed since we arrived here in Tennessee a couple of days ago. Well, this has been a very expensive and damaging race for a lot of drivers and teams here at Nashville tonight. Several have visited the wall. No driver injuries at this point, but a lot of damaged equipment. And of course, in just about a week now, we are going to be going to the 2-mile oval at Michigan International Speedway for a 400-mile race. That will be next Sunday on ABC. Gary?
Well, there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done by a lot of crews between now and Michigan next weekend. Here's Sam Hornish's backup car behind his pits. Here's one of these wheel flips on the rear of the spare car. It's not part of the side pod. They had a side pod out there that they might put up.
they tried on the first attempt when Hornish was in the pit to rip this bodywork away. What we still don't know, in talking to the crew, whether or not it was a piece of this wheel flip that created the debris situation on the racetrack. They say they do not know yet at this point. Bob?
Hornish is in 5th position, by the way, as the drivers are still maneuvering slowly around the racetrack as they pick up the debris from the Buddy Lazier crash. Buddy's car came to a rest at the end of the backstretch, and so the Corvette pace car has the field down on the apron of the racetrack, which is paved. Sharp, Barron, Hearn, DeFerrin, and Hornish are the top 5.
Bob, you've got to give a lot of credit to Richie Hearn, who's driving for Sam Schmidt. They've been running up front, and here's the key. They think they are going to run out with just 1 lap on the last lap. Sam Schmidt has made the determination, let's stay out there and gamble. I remember when Ricky Rudd did this and won the Brickyard 400, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
And of course, the more laps they complete under yellow here, the better they are, because fuel mileage is much, much better as they run at reduced speed. They're running at just about 60 miles an hour under this caution, whereas at race speed, they are very close to 200 miles an hour. As a matter of fact, the fastest lap of the race has been turned by Thomas Schechter at over 202 miles an hour. We have had 6 leaders and 8 lead changes before this sold-out crowd here at Nashville Superspeedway. Sam Hornish Jr. has led the most laps, 95. More when we return to the Firestone Indy 200.
We're at Nashville Speedway, the Firestone Indy 200, the Indy Racing League, getting ready to go green. It'll be 11 laps to go for Scott Sharp, the leader of the race, who is very, very close on fuel to the 200th lap. Now, oh, so close. Back to the green flag. We race again. Everybody works for position. On board, Sam Hornish Jr. He's 5th. Whoa, look how tight there on Tony Wren on the right side.
Clear, 1 car.
Ends up going safe. Here comes Barron. He's staying the leader. Alex Barron takes the lead from Sharp. Both of these cars light on fuel, though.
Perfectly timed, Paul. A nice move. A nice run off of corner 2. Got the draft going down the back straight. Slipstreamed and caught him underneath.
Richie Hearn and Sam Hornish. Hornish gets around Hearn. Hornish down to 4th.
10 laps to go, Sam. 10 laps to go. Plenty of time.
Spencer Carter's definition of plenty of time and mine are 2 different definitions.
Well, you get around here in just about 20-odd seconds a lap. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of time left, but seems like eternity sometimes in racing.
Here comes Joe DeFerrin driving from our...
3rd is DeFerrin.
Well, DeFerrin right now is gaining on Sharp ever so slowly, and then once he catches Sharp, it's going to give Hornish a chance to catch up both of those guys and try to get around Sharp and DeFerrin while they're in traffic, especially DeFerrin.
8 laps to go. You're looking at 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. DeFerrin was only 8 points behind his teammate Castronevitz in the point standings coming in, and Hornish was 19 behind Castronevitz, so he'll pick up some distance because Castronevitz a lap off the pace, running back in 9th position right now.
And I think that body work on Hornish's car has hurt him. He's not as fast as he was before. He's not gobbling those guys up in front of him. So that body work being gone has certainly hurt his chances of winning this race.
I'll tell you what, that move by George Mack, by him not being observant, could eventually cost Hornish the championship. Just a couple of positions.
Doesn't take much. Every point is certainly important in this kind of racing.
Well, Alex Barron setting himself up for a win here. Oh, no, another spin. It's Jeff Ward. Now, this may not bring out the yellow. This may, unless he parks it.
Yep.
Oh, my. Well, Ward, he brings out another yellow. That's the 8th on lap 194.
And that's exactly what Alex Barron wanted to see. Alex Barron is saying, oh, thank you, Lord.
So now he can stretch it out.
Yeah, these guys are really happy. This is Larry Blair. He's the team owner. That's Alex Barron's car owner. That's exactly what they were hoping for, and that's exactly what they wanted to see. That's the reason they took the chance, and that's why you do a thing like that. Same as Castronevitz did win the Indianapolis.
Well, once again, sadly, we appear to have lost our commentators. Just briefly, let's get the thoughts of Paul Cherry. It does look as if Alex Barron might well be well poised to take this race.
Yes, he may have had to do a splash and dash, but at this moment, with another yellow, there's no need for him to come in. He's going to have enough fuel to run to the flag. It may even finish under yellow now.
Okay, thanks very much. I think we have now re-established contact once again. Let's cross back.
I have to say, but on behalf of the whole team for Rayovac Blair Racing, we're enormously excited. We think he can pull it off, no problem.
Even if it goes back to green?
Oh, yeah. He's had real strong restarts all night, so we're pretty confident of his ability to pull it into first place here.
Gary?
Well.
Bag of tricks.
We're going to find out in about 2 laps, Gary. I said go after him, so we'll see what happens on the restart.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Tom Kelly tells his driver Scott Sharp to go for it. Alex Barron now 8th in the point standings.
1 lap to green. They're going to give them 1 lap to go, so they will go green on 198. They've completed 196. They will complete 197 this time around, so they will get the green on lap 198. Give them a 2-lap shootout to the finish.
Second time, second race this season that Barron has led. You heard his car owner say he's been strong on the restarts.
Well, I think it appears that he is strong on the restarts. I think he has enough fuel to go the distance without a doubt. So it's going to be his race to lose at this point. I don't think Scott Sharp is strong enough to win. So I think if DeFerrin or Harnish or both of them can get around, they may be able to challenge Alex Barron. But if they do not get around Scott Sharp on the restart, then this is...
That's a tall order, though, with 2 laps to go.
It certainly is. It's very difficult to pass on this racetrack. So everybody's going to be doing their utmost to get a terrific restart.
Scrubbing off the tires right now. These tires under yellow will pick up those marbles that we talked about, little bits of rubber. Trying to scrub those tires, get ready for the restart. Here we go. They'll take the green flag.
Everybody out there trying to outsmart the other guy. Let's see who does the best job.
2 laps to go. 2 laps to go. Look at this, almost contact. There was contact. There was contact between those guys racing for second position. DeFerrin goes by. Here comes Hornish to the inside, and there's almost contact there. The white flag will come out this time by.
Hornish had to back out because Scott Sharp cut him off. DeFerrin has 1 last shot to get around Alex Barron, but I believe Alex Barron, I think Blair was right, his car owner. I think he's strong enough to take home this victory.
The white flag out that time, the final lap. Alex Barron about to bring home the Rayovac car for his first win of his Indy Racing League career. DeFerrin rides in second.
Well, he certainly earned it. He did a terrific job. Great team strategy.
And he takes it. He takes it. Alex Barron has picked up the victory.
Well, look at this. This is a brand new team. These people just came to do this. This is the first year for them, and they have done an absolutely terrific job. That's a wonderful thing to see, as Alex Barron did a great job. The crew did a great job. Tom Gloy's involved in this. I mean, everybody on that team certainly deserves the victory.
And this was no fluke either. I mean, he qualified in the 5th starting position, was consistent all evening, put himself into position on, he got out of pit sequence, but it worked to his advantage. It's the same strategy they used earlier this season, and it almost worked in Indianapolis.
Right, and it did work for Castro Nevis. He went extra long. Let's talk to him here real quickly.
Well, obviously having some technical difficulties and hearing from Alex. Oh, this is too bad.
Quick, and,
there we are.
My hats off to Rayovac, Speedway Engines, everybody, EDS, and everybody that's helped us out. It's been an awesome weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bob, in only his 11th start,
Oh,
Alex Barron.
my. So he takes the victory here, and the fireworks are, we saw fireworks on the racetrack all evening, and now we're seeing fireworks in the sky as Barron takes it over to Ferrin, Sharp, Harnish. As you take a look at the second 12 there, Buddy Lazier after that wreck finishing in 12th position. You take a look at the rest of the rundown. Thomas Schechter in 13th, Mark Dismore with engine problems in 18th, all unofficial results. And once again, Sarah Fisher, the first out with engine problems, and car number 23 is the crew down there to receive your victor in victory lane.
A lot of crashes here tonight, but a very good race. These guys did a terrific job.
Well, as we said, we're going to be off to Michigan next week on Sunday with the Michigan 400 on that 2-mile high-backed racetrack in Brooklyn, Michigan. Then it's on to Sparta, Kentucky, then Madison, Illinois, Joliet, Illinois, and Fort Worth, Texas. So 5 more races to go, and the point standings still a scramble in the point standings. Championship is still up for grabs.
Well, it certainly is, and Castroneves lost his chance to be the champion when he had that trouble in the pit area earlier in the race.
Tonight's Nashville Indy 500, make that 200, has been a presentation of ESPN in association with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So our congratulations to Blair Racing and Alex Barron on his victory here at Nashville. Join us next Sunday for live coverage of the Michigan 400. For Larry Rice, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. So long from Nashville, Tennessee.
Welcome back. So it's a success then for Alex Barron out there in Nashville at the Superspeedway. He's won the Firestone Indy 200. Watching the action with me here in the studio in London have been Paul Cherry and Rob Murphy. Paul, your reaction to that victory?
Fantastic for Alex and the team. I know Blair Racing from last year in kart. They decided to change disciplines and move to the IRL with their driver Alex, and they've steadily got better and better every race. Sure, they were an out-of-sequence pit situation, and Alex, under normal circumstances, would have had to come in and make another pit stop, but the yellows just panned out right, and he was able to save fuel.
A relatively new name to some people, but in fact he's not that young, but he's a good driver.
Alex is a Toyota protege. He started out in Formula Atlantics. He was champion there. Then he moved to Dan Gurney's Eagle Champ Car team. And then he went to Blair Racing, and now he finds himself in a top ride in the IRL.
Yeah, and looking elsewhere in the field, apart from Alex, Rob, 1 or 2 hard luck stories, and there really were some, because it was a very eventful race.
Yeah, it was. It sure was. Schechter again, Billy Boat was my pick, and they went out in what we thought was maybe an incident together, but they actually went out same place on the racetrack and in what seemed to be separate incidents. But star of that restart for me was DeFerrin. He did do a great move to, but Barron obviously had the best car underneath him, didn't he? But DeFerrin had a great move on Sharp and got some valuable points in the bag. That could, mean something in the championship later on in the year.
And somebody like Sam Hornish, who throughout drove a very aggressive race, in the end really no reward.
But again, more points on the board, and we're up against the Penske boys over the whole year. That's going to count for a lot too.
But it was overall a pretty tough, aggressive sort of race. I mean, there were parts of the track too, which obviously gave the drivers particular problems.
Yeah, I mean, turn 1 and 2, everybody that tried to go 2 abreast round there just came away the poorer for it. Poor old AJ's probably into $300,000 worth of no claims bonus to collect.
Your heart bleeds for him, doesn't it? I can tell.
Somewhat, yes. But yeah, I mean, that end of the track was definitely a hard place to make a move. Most people were trying it into 3. It looked fairly safe there. But as we were saying earlier, where there's no rubber, places like a skating rink.
Yeah, and overall, I guess we have to say, Rob, it was an entertaining race that looked good. I mean, this night racing, as we said earlier, great atmosphere, good crowd. They've been rewarded with a very good race.
Yeah, it was fantastic stuff. I mean, you could see in this race how much of a team effort it was. It wasn't just the guys behind the wheel. It was the stuff that happened in the pits. It was the the nature of the track itself, and the stuff, as we were saying, going offline made it very, very tricky. Even if they did put a good move on somebody, they only had to be slightly out for them to be in the wall. Luckily we didn't have any incidents where it looked like anybody got hurt, but sure was action-packed. Yeah.
Okay, boys, still, for the moment, stay with me, because there's 1 or 2 things we can still discuss, but I can bring you up to date with some other results now, because earlier today at Nashville we had the second round of the new Infinity Pro Series, which is basically a junior version of the IRL. Now, 2 weeks ago in the inaugural race, victory went to A.J. Foyt's grandson, A.J. Foyt IV, but this time we had a landmark victory for Corey Witherell, who previously raced in the IRL. He's a full-blooded Navajo Indian. Former Indy 500 winner Ari Lyondike's son, Ari Jr., was second, ahead of Aaron Fike, with Foyt finishing 4th this time. The Hollywood actor and last year's IRL commentator Jason Priestley actually finished 6th today, having been placed 2nd in the inaugural race just 2 weeks ago. Now, also in America this weekend, the American Le Mans Series is racing for the first time ever, and that's on a new street circuit in the state capital of Washington, D.C. But the starting lineup has a very familiar look. On the front row of the grid, the 2 factory Audis of Frank Bieler and Emanuele Pirot, and Dindo Capello and co-driver Tom Christensen. Row 2 has the Magnussen and Brabham Paynos and the private champion Team Audi of Britain's Johnny Herbert and Stefan Johansson of Sweden. Row 3 has the leading Cadillac alongside the second Paynos. On row 4, the second Cadillac plus the Lola MG of father and son team John and Clint Field. And rounding out the top 10, Britain's James Weaver and young Chris Dyson in the RNS Ford plus a second MG driven by Knight and Block. Just a quick point on those results, Paul. It's interesting to hear the American Le Mans Series racing on a street circuit in Washington. Fascinating stuff.
Yes, the ALMS have got a fairly aggressive marketing policy, and they're looking to take their racing to the people. Traditionally, they've been on circuits that have been out of towns. They were at Mid-Ohio and Road America. But like kart, they've decided to do street racing,
Yes.
and it's paying off big time. And certainly it's a big coup to arrive in Washington.
It sure is, isn't it? I can't quite imagine it, having not seen pictures, but I imagine Washington, if they got the circuit right, would look very good.
Yes, I understand that it uses a lot of private roads and part of a car park, and it's sort of a first draft of what they finally want to arrive at. But to be racing in Washington, I would think just the security implications would be a nightmare.
Sure. But overall, from the entertainment point of view, from the public appeal point of view, this is the way people want to go, because they love to see that sort of thing.
We have a situation like in Chicago. We've just had the kart race there that drew what was definitely a disappointing crowd of only 25,000 people. When you think the city's sort of 3.5 million people,
yeah.
You take the air and water show at Chicago, which runs on the shore side, they get 1.5 million people to that.
Yes.
The Taste of Chicago, which is in the same area, gets another 1 million people. People in the area will go to the nearest city and the towns to look at stuff. They don't like to travel outside the area.
Yeah.
And I think that your hard and fast enthusiast will travel out to a circuit,
Yes.
but people who are just curious will come to the city.
I seem to remember in years gone by there was a Las Vegas Grand Prix, was there not, in Formula One, was basically in a car park, which wasn't terribly exciting. They could have made more of that.
I was there, and it was probably one of the worst events that I've ever been to. It made reasonable TV, but it was a shocking place to be.
Yeah.
That's definitely the wrong way to go about it. Look at the success stories.
Yeah.
Long Beach has been going 25 years now. That's what people want. They want something in the heart
Yeah.
of the city that's an event,
Yeah.
not necessarily
Yeah.
a race.
Okay, let's go back to the IRL now, and Rob, let's talk about Gilles de Ferran, because he didn't drive a bad race. He's actually leading the championship at the moment, and this is a guy who's been around, knows what it takes, and is a very competitive driver.
Yeah, he's very, very good indeed, and he's coming from the Champ Car Series into IRL, and he probably, it's fair to say that his heart is in road racing and doing street circuits, and he's making a transition, and a fantastic one, over to the oval stuff.
Yeah.
But the might and power of Penske behind him, and you know, Helio Castroneves and him, they've been kind of really so dominant, as we were talking about before, throwing a huge amount of money into the IRL Series this year. But yeah, I mean, he's just a fantastic driver.
And Castroneves in second place in the championship. I mean, he's another good competitor.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, you know, this is the dream team, these two guys. And Sam Hornish has been doing a great job to stay with him. It's probably, you know, those three so far this year that have been the, you know, very much the leading trio. But, you know, it's a long way to go in the championship. And, yeah, de Ferran is just, you know, fantastic class act. And
how do you assess them, Paul? Your views presumably the same as Rob?
Exactly as Rob says. I mean, you've got two enormously professional racing drivers, and I say professional twice because that's exactly how strong they are at it. Roger chose them because of the way they are. They look at every part of the racing and they follow that through.
But you presumably can only do this when you've got a massive budget. Somebody like Penske, I mean, they pour in millions of dollars.
Yes, I'd heard that. Marlboro are not short of the odd dollar, and I think they're putting a definite big effort into the thing. They've raised the level for the IRL. This year it's been Penske coming in doing massive chassis development and engine development. Next year we see Toyota and Honda come in, and believe you me, the prices will rise in that series somewhat.
Yeah, but money doesn't always buy success. You've still got to have that sort of magic ingredient, haven't you? You've got to have a bit of luck and a bit of something else as well.
As we've seen this evening, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. If you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to reap the rewards, and Alex Barron certainly did that today.
Yeah, good for him. But what about the entertainment value of what we've seen tonight? There was a big crowd. As we said earlier, American marketing for motorsport in particular is very successful. But those people who've maybe not seen that sort of racing before, on the evidence of what they've seen today, will say, yes, I'll come back and have some more.
I think anybody that sat in the bleachers there and ate their free hot dog and drank their Coca-Cola would definitely go home very happy. It was a good race. It had all the things that the American fans want to see. Plenty of action, few crashes, nobody got hurt, everybody smiled.
Yeah, and Rob, from your perspective, when you look at this, I mean, do you assess the IRL as a success now?
Yeah, very much so. It's growing all the time, and I think some people think it's just speedway racing. You know, there is no road courses, there is no street courses. There's a market for that, but Americans just love things that are average speeds of over 200 miles an hour, and they love this type of racing, and they're given, you know, that particular market what they want. And it's very much, a lot of this is based around the Indy 500, still by far the biggest race in the world as far as the Americans are concerned, and that's pretty much why Penske and Marlboro have gone into that. That's their kind of flagship event on which they hang everything else. So I love this high-speed stuff.
Good stuff. Just switching codes briefly, there is news, obviously you can bring us more news on this, but kart racing goes ahead at Rockingham later this autumn.
Yeah, which is fantastic, and I implore everybody out there to go and see that, because this is, you know, we're going to have a race just like this up in Corby at Rockingham, and the champ cars there last year were awesome, and they're not going to the German track, but they are going to Rockingham.
That's not going to happen, but Rockingham definitely is, and what you need is a dry weekend, yeah?
Yeah, they do, and I think they've planned that in, and I think they managed it last year. Fingers crossed they'll do it this year, and it'll be good stuff. It's a great track.
And Paul, you're an enthusiast of what you saw at Rockingham last time, and that's the way forward in this country.
Rockingham suffered last year because of the water problems that they had, but ultimately when it came to race day, we had a fantastic race. And I think the 45,000 people that went away will have at least told 3 people more, and this year I think it'll be a sellout.
Just fingers crossed for a fine forecast day, because that's really the key here.
We've had a rubbish year so far with the weather, so let's hope the summer arrives late and just covers us.
And of course it was Gilles de Ferran who won it last year.
Michigan International Superspeedway. Then, in complete contrast, we'll be switching to the kart FedEx Series. That's for the Molson Indy Vancouver race, which takes place around the streets of the Canadian city. That's 9:30 Sunday, 28th of July on SkySports Extra. So in the meantime, it just remains for me to say thanks very much indeed to Rob and to Paul. Thank you, boys, for sticking with me. We've enjoyed it, haven't we? And we're looking forward to more of the same later in the season.
Yeah, great stuff.
Okay, boys, thank you very much indeed. There we are. Thank you for watching. We're going to leave you now with a quick resume of just how the Firestone Indy 200 was won and lost. From all of us here, for the moment, it's goodbye.